a.m. Elsewhere, talkSPORT understands Arsenal have no plans to trigger Eberechi Eze's £68 million release clause before it expires tonight. But the Gunners are still interested in signing the Palace talisman. talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs is on this one.
The expectation is still they'll bid at some point between now and the end of the window and lower than this soon-to-be expiring release clause. And as a consequence, it will fall on Crystal Palace because once the clause is gone, they can shut the door. They can demand that the previous active clause is matched.
Transfer rumours are continuing to swirl around Alexander Isak as he trains with his former club Real Sociedad. Former Newcastle man Darren Ambrose says the Magpies have been left in a lose-lose situation.
Previously was stating that 300 grand a week is what he's asking. I think he's on around 120, so double and a half that what he wants is an increase. So Bruno Guimaraes, Anthony Gordon, Joe Linton, Tonali, they're all going to say, well, where's our new contract? But then if they accept this as well and let him go, there's still time left. A few of those players again might go, well, where's the ambition of this club? Like, I want out as well.
And it's time to come home. That's the message from Louis Rees-Zammit. He's giving up on his dream to play in the NFL. The announcement will have rugby clubs everywhere on alert. As ever, there's plenty more on this story and others at talksport.com.
Welcome to Crook and Groves on talkSPORT. We've got a huge show for you this morning. We'll kick things off with Perry's beloved Arsenal, who've already bottled an opportunity to win a trophy, and it's only August the 1st. With Alexander Isak and Johan Wissa pushing to leave their clubs, we're asking if this is the right way to force an exit, and we'll be joined exclusively by Salford manager Carl Robinson to preview the big EFL kick-off this weekend. All that plus loads more. This is Crook and Groves on talkSPORT. Now, I have to say,
Crook and Groves.
Producer Anil has been a little bit naughty there, hasn't he, with it, calling you bottle jobs.
I'm biting.
August the 1st.
It was a foul. Lewis Kelly was fouled. Referee, have a day off. Crook and Groves sounds like a really dodgy sort of law firm, didn't it? In like some back street somewhere.
We did this before, actually, when I was on with Scott Minto, and we asked the listeners to text in and suggest potential careers for us, and we had all kinds. Undertakers, as you say, dodgy solicitors.
I think Scott and Minto sounds like a ice skating duo.
What about a cop duo from the sort of 1980s?
Yeah, actually, mind you got the gear, haven't you, I suppose, so you'd be all right, wouldn't you?
Well, we're both looking smart today. We're both in our blazers for different reasons. I'm off to glorious Goodwood, which wasn't so glorious yesterday, by the way, when the heavens opened and the lightning struck, but hopefully set fair this afternoon, and you're off to show people around the Arsenal trophy cabinet, I'd imagine, which won't take long.
Yes, well, it'll be full next end of this season, so we'll be all right, Crookie.
What about that defeat to Spurs then? I mean, obviously we don't read too much into pre-season, but you don't ideally want to lose to your fierce rivals any time of the year, do you?
No, it's when I saw the pre-season fixtures, then you see that you play AC Milan first, you go, okay, that's not bad. Then you play Newcastle, you're like, nah, there's too much edge on it, too much history, because Newcastle have had our number the last couple of seasons, so that's going to be a bit lively. Then you see the first North London derby ever played outside these shores, and you think, no, that ain't great either. All I want to do is see Arsenal players not injured. When we 1-0 down, I was at the Emirates yesterday, actually, at a tour, and I was just thinking, when the tour's finished, just let it be 1-1, just so that it calms everybody down a bit. But honestly, I'm not bothered about the result, because you want all of your players fit and flying for the first game of the season up at your mob. So it's just about not getting injured. And as a player, you'll play at probably 75-80% because you want to get injured either.
And it was a wonder goal from Paqueta Sarr, but I guess, again, being Arsenal, you're used to conceding from the halfway line. That's not the first time
thing was
in your illustrious history that's happened.
David Raya, to be fair, he's playing as a centre-half. You see his position where he got caught out last season against Crystal Palace at the Emirates,
Yes,
where
he did.
Mateta, same thing. So, again, it's risk to reward, and 9 times out of 10, when Lewis Skelly gets the ball in the centre circle, he goes turn, it's given us a foul. But I just think that you've got to say to David Wright, you don't want him that far out. Even if you're sort of 5 to 10 yards outside your 18 yard, you've got a chance to get yourself back. You're in between the 18-yard box and the halfway line, you've got no chance. So it is a risk reward. And David Raya in pre-season has looked a little bit shaky. He hasn't looked as confident in what he did the whole of last season. There was a couple of corners that come in yesterday that he flapped one, didn't he? Come out like a big sort of star shape and missed it completely and hit the post, where Richarlison should have scored from, about an inch. So, yeah, but other than that, you're looking at, like, even in the teams, you got Zubamendi to come in, like for Norgard. Obviously, Gyökeres will be your number one.
He came off the bench, didn't he, Gyökeres?
Yeah, and I think he had like a half a chance, but it's just to get him used to, obviously, his teammates and the way the team plays. And then you hope that maybe Eze will be coming. You've got Madueke coming on the left-hand side. So the actual squad depth looks far, far better. But with that comes the pressure, and all Arsenal fans know, and I know, we have to win the Premier League or the Champions League for this season to be what you would say a really good season.
You've obviously gone at it in the window, and there's still a chance that Eberechi Eze completes the move across London from Palace to Arsenal. His release clause actually expires at midnight tonight. There's no sign that Arsenal will trigger it before that deadline. Doesn't mean they won't try and sign him later in the window, because I think they always wanted to pay slightly under that release clause. But you look at what Arsenal have done. Obviously, they've addressed the number 9 position. Zubamendi was the worst kept secret in football. Madueke has been a signing that I think has divided opinion, that's putting it lightly, amongst Arsenal fans. But then you look at the champions Liverpool, and this Alexander Isak move does seem to be gathering momentum. I would personally be surprised if he's not a Liverpool player come the end of the window. They've signed Florian Wirtz, they've upgraded left back, and no disrespect to Andy Robertson, I think Kirkes is an upgrade just based on age and what he's done last season in the Premier League. Does it concern you that Arsenal have spent all this money to finish second again, potentially?
Calm yourself, Crookie. Just calm yourself down, because you think Liverpool have won the title already.
I think they've had a brilliant window, and they're the champions.
But then comes more pressure, more expectancy. This is Arne Slot's team, and Liverpool done really well. They've had a brilliant transfer, because when you're successful, like Sir Alex Ferguson used to in Manchester United, you always go and buy 2 or 3 players, not squad players. You buy 2 or 3 players that are going to go in the first team and enhance your first team and make that stronger. And it's exactly what he's done. So Wirtz has got to get into the Premier League, and the pace and the power of it. See if he can handle that. Is he going to play as a 10?
Do you want any more straws to clutch on there?
What's that?
I was with Didi Hamann at Ascot recently, and he said, don't worry about him adjusting to the Premier League. He can mix it physically. He's going to be a revelation.
Well, that's a done and dusted then, because Didi Hamann said it. Didi Hamann's never got anything wrong on his judgment of players. But as I actually think it's going to be, you love your betting and you're going to go to later on. I think it'll be a 2 or 3. I think it'll be between us and Liverpool. And you're going to have to be nearly perfect.
And you've got a tough start, haven't you, as well?
Got a tough start, but it works both ways, because sometimes you think, right, if we go to your mob first game of the season and we get a good result there, then the next game is against Leeds. Worst ways out, we've got to be in the top 3 and only either at the top of the table or a point or 2 points off it, because you know what's going to happen.
After how many games?
After the first 6 games.
Really?
Because...
So if you're not in that position after 6 games, it's game over?
No, it's not game over, but what it is, the pressure will come from the media. It will be the Arsenal aren't good enough, they can't handle the pressure themselves. So you have to make sure, just to quell everybody down and calm everybody down a bit, that you have a good start, because you don't want to be playing catch-up, because then the pressure comes even more. And last season, we drew too many games. You've got to make sure that you hope, and I'm of the belief that you're talking about Wirtz going into Liverpool with Gyökeres, he's ready-made.
But you've got the same questions about Gyökeres, surely. If you're saying Florian Wirtz, there's no guarantee he translates what he did in the Bundesliga to the Premier League. This is a player who's been banging in goals for fun in Portugal, but so did Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, but Gyökeres has played in this country,
in the Championship,
which is more physical than what it is in the Premier League. Okay. And he's handed himself there, scoring goals. Coventry probably not getting the gilt-edged chances he'll get at Arsenal. And if you're any decent centre-forward, you should be getting 20 to 25 Premier League goals.
Not many people get 20 Premier League goals in a season.
I would be betting that he will.
Okay.
Because I like the thing as well, he's got a little bit of edge about him. He's got a little bit of arrogance. People forget that he's quick. He's actually quicker than Isak. Isak obviously is very quick, but Gyökeres is quicker. He can hold the ball up. But all Arsenal have got to do is they've got to make sure when it's in the wide areas that they get the ball into the box a lot quicker, which in pre-season, when I've been watching them, they've been getting the ball forward a lot quicker. David Raya has been actually going forward probably 50% of the time, long passes.
Yeah.
So you've got to bypass the press. But in the wide areas, that's where Madueke has been bought. And if we get Eze, when teams have a low block, you've got to have that creativity to go past them. So quite rightly, understandably, all Gooners fans that I know are unbelievably excited about the business that we've done. And then this is the time. You can't keep being Colin Montgomery. Do you know what I mean? Or Jimmy White. Exactly. You've got to win something. So
if you don't win it this year, if it's another year without silverware, what happens at the end of the season in terms of Mikel Arteta? Because a lot of Arsenal fans I speak to have this sort of blind loyalty to Mikel Arteta.
So they should.
Because they see where you were when he came in.
Absolutely.
They see where you are now.
Yep.
But sooner or later, do you not have to turn that into something tangible in terms of winning a trophy?
Then again, it all depends how the season goes. All depends what your season's like, how close you are to winning it. I'm a massive Arteta fan because we were irrelevant before we got to Arsenal, right? We were like, actually, no, we weren't as pants as Man United, but we were 6th and 7th, nowhere near.
9 cup finals in 10 years.
He's brought, anybody can win a cup.
Eric Ten Hag won twice as many major titles as Arteta did.
But
I'm just saying, as much as you can say they're relevant again, you still want to win trophies. And as you're a football fan, you want to see your team win something.
Yes, but the position that we're at, you know how it's going to be. Winning the FA Cup.
You're going to finish second at best again. Liverpool are going to win the league.
Winning the FA Cup, no, we're going to win it.
Liverpool will win the league.
No, you hope that Liverpool win it.
So if they get Isak and you've got Gyökeres, who's got the better player?
You would say Isak because he has played in the Premier League. But then that doesn't mean to say that when he goes to Liverpool, that there's miles more pressure at Liverpool than it was at Newcastle. He's got to fit into their style of play. So it's all, you just think it's a given. You think it's very black and white, where it isn't.
I make Liverpool heavy favourites.
I wouldn't say heavy favourites. I would say that they're just favourites because of the business they've done. But from Arsenal's point of view...
And the fact they know how to win trophies.
Yes, but from Arsenal's point of view, if you're Bukayo Saka, if you're Declan Rice, you'll be driven on because you'll be so fed up of coming second. Second 3 times for us, second twice for England. So I think it's going to be a brilliant title race.
But you were saying exactly the same things this time last year. Yeah, you were. You said Arsenal for the title last year.
I thought we'd win it.
Yeah, right. Because of the disappointment of the year before.
But then you can't tell about the injuries that you're going to get. Like
everybody gets injuries.
Yeah, but we had Saka, we had Gabriel injured, we had Havertz injured. You have 3 of your main players injured at the same time. Any team's going to struggle when you have that many injuries. So there's loads of different permutations for the whole season, which I think is great because you've written us off already. So I'm very happy about it because your track record with like betting and writing people off, don't know. I think it means we're definitely going to win it.
Well, I tell you what, not many people agreeing with you this morning. 03717 22 33 44 is the number to call. Arsenal fans, are you in Perry Grove's camp? Is it a tap-in that Arsenal win the Premier League?
I didn't say it was a tap-in. No. Whoa.
Liverpool supporters, he's not convinced by Florian Wirtz. You probably want to hit back about that. 8,
I said
89
he's got to
on the text.
Adapt to the Premier League, right? And you know what's amazing? The narrative already before the season started, Crookie, is the negativity around Arsenal. It's scary. So what Arsenal and we have to do is circle the wagons. And already, even in pre-season, it's us against the world, which I really like.
I'm going to have to read a few of these to you. What is Perry Groves on? If Liverpool get Isak, we will be unstoppable. Can't believe I'm loving Alex Crook putting Perry, the deluded Arsenal fan, in his place. Wow, when you think Martin Keown is blinkered, Groves comes on and he's just as deluded.
Have I said... Hold on,
Perry is so annoying. Arsenal will bottle it again. Everyone knows it, apart from deluded Arsenal fans. How can you just say favourites when we were streets ahead of Arsenal and have had a better window? We moved further ahead. Bore off with the injury to the slaughter. We didn't get married in the end. Not sure what that means. Harvey Elliott has won more trophies than Arsenal in the past 10 years. That's from Tony, presumably a Liverpool fan.
By the way,
03717 22 33 Double four, gone.
I didn't say that Arsenal were favourites. I said Liverpool.
You said we'll win the league.
I said they're favourites just because of their business in the transfer window. I said they're just favourites, but I still think we win it.
Tell you what, if Arsenal were running at Goodwood this afternoon, you'd be tipping them to win the big race.
Actually, Man United, you probably have a really good season, Crook. You might finish 12th this season.
We're not talking about Man United. We're talking about the title race.
Again, you're hating Arsenal already.
The title race.
It's brilliant.
I'm impressed with your confidence when we think Liverpool are about to sign, for me, the best player in the Premier League last season alongside Mo Salah.
You would say that Isak is in the best 3 centre-forwards in Europe and maybe the world. And I said that Liverpool would just be favourites, but I still fancy us because of that determination of keep coming second.
I'm sure we're going to get plenty of calls on this. Stay with us. This is Crook and Groves on talkSPORT. I'll tell you what, the switchboard is going off on this Friday morning. Alex Crook and Perry Groves with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. We are talking Arsenal and Perry's prediction that finally this will be the year. They end their, 22-year league title drought, was it?
In the 2004, wasn't it? Invincibles.
Yeah, so 22 years by the time 2026 comes around. How can Perry say Isak will struggle to adapt to Liverpool with the pressure, but Gyökeres can easily, because he played in the Championship, and Wirtz would also struggle with pace and power. The man is deluded. That's Ginge in Boston.
Oh, Ginge, come on, we've got to keep the ginger flag flying.
Totally neutral here, but I can't see Arsenal finishing second. They'll be fourth. Liverpool are ridiculously good and will win it. City and Chelsea will both finish above the Gunners, says Martin. How many times do you need to be the bridesmaid until you have the motivation to win anything? Arteta is a fraud, blames anything he can, just not up to par. Chelsea will finish higher than Arsenal. And I like this one particularly from Stephen in Wembley. Sorry, did Perry just compare Arsenal to United again, saying any team can win a cup? If that's the case, why are Arsenal still waiting? Absolutely rattled, says Stephen.
Mikel Arteta's won the FA Cup.
Behind closed doors.
Does that don't count then? So what it says, so is he Charlie Rich when you get behind closed doors? And by the way, there's no positive stuff coming about Arsenal. You're just reading all the negative. It's all negative.
If there was a positive message about Arsenal, I'll give it to you.
Good.
Listen, we're going to
come on, the Gooners.
We're going to get some Arsenal fans on the line, I'm sure. 03717 22 33 44. Come and make the case for your club. Can we go to the phone lines? I think we've got Lee, a Liverpool fan, waiting to speak to us. Lee Perry says Liverpool are going to struggle to retain their title.
No,
Arsenal,
I didn't. Hold on, Crookie. Well, no. Hold on, Crookie. Don't do that because people listen. Sorry, Lee. I said that Liverpool are probably just favourites. But I still
Arsenal will win it.
But I think we win it, yes.
Yep.
And I can understand why Liverpool are favourites.
Lee?
Perry, give your head a wobble, lad. So if we get these world-class players, they're not going to be able to do it at Liverpool. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know if you listened to me, Lee. I said you're slight favourites. I don't know if you listened.
We are favourites.
Yes.
See what it is with Arsenal.
So you think it's done and dusted, Lee?
Second. City will finish second. Chelsea will finish third. Arsenal will finish fourth.
Well, to be fair...
You just crumble under the pressure. I see it every year with you.
Do you know what? I love this confidence. Your
confidence.
sense of entitlement.
We've the Premiership. We've just run away with the Premiership.
Premier League.
Added 4 world-class players.
Premier League,
like
Lee.
Alex Ferguson used to do.
Yep.
We're winning it again. Arsenal will be a cup team this year. Probably win the FA Cup. We might let you have that. Not the Champions League. You just fold every year. The pressure gets you.
So you don't think, Lee, that Arne Slot is under more pressure this year than last season?
No, he's just won the Premiership. So he's
Premier League, Lee. It's not rugby, it's Premier League.
Premier League, it's still the same. That's how we talk in Scousers.
But what happens when you've won the title, which was a bonus from last year, because obviously Arne Slot's taken over from Jurgen Klopp.
We're going to win it again.
Now this is his team. Now he's going to put more of a stamp on the way that he wants you to play. And there's more pressure because your expectancy. So there's more pressure. What happens when you've won the title, which was a bonus from last year?
I don't know what that was. That was you coming back.
That bloke sounded like he actually knew what he was talking about.
Should we bring in Nick, Ian, the Chelsea fan? He wants to have his say on the title race. 03717 2233 44 is the number. Ian?
Hi.
Hello, Ian.
Yeah, Chelsea fan. Hello there. Yeah, Chelsea fan. I think Chelsea have been a little bit overlooked. They're a dark horse for this title. We need a goalkeeper, admittedly, but I think we've got more chance of finishing second than what Arsenal have. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion either that Liverpool win this title, even if they get Isak. They've bought a few players and they've got to mould these players and get them into a playing pattern. But I'm sorry, I can't see Arsenal disturbing any teams at the moment.
Ian, aren't you worried that Chelsea is still a development team, where I think your average age last season was 23 and a half? Because even in games, not just from game to game, you lose control of games. You haven't got enough experience just to calm everybody down. And you said there you need a goalkeeper. I think you need experienced centre-half as well. So you're convinced that this development team is going to finish above Arsenal?
Chelsea are world champions.
It's a cup competition.
They've still got the title of world champions. They've been playing together now for a couple of seasons. They have the potential to have the very, very best midfield in the Premier League this coming season. The potential is there. That's what I say. They're a dark horse. If things get together and we knit They've got João Pedro and they've got Liam Delap. They're two different strikers. They can play to two different patterns, whatever suits. Yes, we probably need a goalkeeper. I don't know, maybe we do need a centre half. But every piece of potential you could wish for is there.
Ian, cheers for the call. Appreciate that. We've got so many people who want to have their say. Let's bring in Ibra, an Arsenal fan. I assume, Ibra, that you're going to give Perry Grove some support because there's not a lot of it so far this morning.
Mr. Crookie, I don't know what to say to you and to the rest of this Premier League attack on Arsenal.
Attack?
I mean, the guy's been there. Yeah, attack. The guy's been there 5 years. He's built a team, and this is a season where he's actually got a replacement for every single position. Okay, and all we need is a missing piece, which is Eberechi Eze. If we can get that over the line, I'll be straight with you. There's no stopping us. There will be no stopping us. We've got the striker that everybody's been dying for, okay? And we've got, like I said, replacements for every single position. You know, we've got Norgard, we've got Zubimendi, we've got Rice, we've got players coming through our youth team that nobody's really even talking about. Okay, and wary, but what about Dowman? What about Marley Solomon? He's a centre-back. He plays like William Saliba.
Ibra, you know what we have to do is
Stay humble.
They're a humble bunch of players, Cricky. Trust me, I've been in their company and they are very humble off the pitch. That ain't a problem. But what Ibra said there, what Arteta and Arsenal have to do is all this negativity, the anti-Arsenal that's coming out already before the season's even started, you have to use that to galvanise yourself. Because as Arteta said himself, it is now the time to deliver. He's not delusional about this. Arteta's had this 5-year plan, which he's had. Now it has to come to fruition. So I know that he's under pressure, but I believe that this group of players can deliver.
No guarantee he'll score goals at this level. Nunez scored a lot in the Portuguese league. Liverpool would ruin football if they get Isak, says Matt, the Newcastle fan. The man is a genius and without doubt the most complete forward in the world. Personally, I think Man City and possibly Chelsea will also finish in front of Arsenal. Gunners fans are absolute dreamers if they think Gyökeres is their ticket to the Premier League title. There is one bit of support here for you, Perry, from a Tottenham fan, incredibly. I'm afraid to say Arsenal can win the title this season, and I'm worried. So that is a Tottenham fan. The title will be between Liverpool and Arsenal. City and Chelsea will battle it out for third and fourth. I pray this doesn't happen. Keep your calls and texts coming, 81089, if you want to drop us a message. 03717 223344. We're going to be speaking more about Alexander Isak trying to force that move to Liverpool next.
England may well have to play the rest of the deciding fifth test against India Ebola light. It's thought Chris Woakes has dislocated his shoulder.
Chase on for Woakes at long off, and he pulls the ball down and he hasn't got up again. Oh, I don't know about this, Jeremy. I think we might have a problem here.
India closed day one on 204 for 6. Well, today at the Oval, there'll be a chance to remember Graham Thorpe, who tragically took his own life last year. Ben Stokes says it'll be special for Graham's family to see how much he meant to people.
Thorpe's been a very influential character as a player and as a coach. You know, a few of us in that dressing room now have spent a lot of time around him when we were younger, coming through the ranks.
Play starts at 11 a.m. Elsewhere, talkSPORT understands Arsenal have no plans to trigger Eberechi Eze's £68 million release clause before it expires tonight. But the Gunners are still interested in signing the Palace talisman. talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs is on this one.
The expectation is still they'll bid at some point between now and the end of the window and lower than this soon-to-be expiring release clause. And as a consequence, it will fall on Crystal Palace because once the clause is gone, they can shut the door. They can demand that the previous active clause is matched.
As ever, there's plenty more on this story and others at talksport.com.
Good morning, you are listening to Crook and Groves on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. A reminder, the EFL season kicks off tonight, live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. We have Luton against Wimbledon from League One. Tomorrow, 12:30 on talkSPORT 2. Cardiff, one of the favourites for promotion, take on Peterborough. We're going around the grounds on talkSPORT. Adrian Durham, Mickey Gray and Sean Derry bringing you all the goals as they go in from the opening Saturday of the season. And if you'd like to listen to Bradford against Wickham in League One, that's live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. We're going to be speaking to Carl Robinson, Salford City manager, later in the programme. They get their League 2 campaign off and running tomorrow afternoon. We've been talking about Arsenal and Liverpool and the title race in the first half an hour of the programme. Perry, what do you base these delusions on? One FA Cup in the first year, nothing since. You bottled the league to give City their fourth in a row. You've shown nothing to anyone you're capable of getting the job done. What is it that makes you think you can actually do it? Because there's zero evidence, says one texter.
Because we've come so agonisingly close the last 3 years, and I say that should drive you on, and the business we've done in the transfer window, because everybody's known we haven't had a proper centre forward for 2 seasons. So now you get Gyökeres, and then you've got Kai Havertz, who can play up there as well. Obviously, he got injured, which was massive. He got injured in January, so that was a big miss. And if you look through I think defensively, we're nice and solid. If you can get Saliba and Gabriel, keep them 2 fit. And you've got the young players coming in as well. And I know we'll probably talk about Max Dellman later on, but he gives everybody that a little bit of energy and inspiration as well. You know, when you get young players like Lewis Skelly coming in.
He's not going to play a lot though, is it? 15 in the Premier League.
I think you'd be surprised quickly. I think you might see him on the bench because there's no way that he's going to go out on loan because they want him in and around. He's been playing up the ages since he was like 12, 13, and he is a scary, scary talent. But I'm just excited by the transfer business that was done. And as a football fan, you have to be excited. If you see your team improving, which we have, last season, obviously, at the middle of the season, we dropped off a little bit, but you have to be excited because I would say 80 to 85% of Arsenal fans, that they are totally behind Mikel Arteta because they see what he's done and transformed.
Are you surprised on that basis we've not had more Arsenal fans coming on and leaping to your defence this morning? It's been mainly Liverpool or fans
I think
of rival
they're probably
teams.
listening, thinking, "Oh, we've heard it all before." Is the anti-Arsenal bias coming already? So they're just going, "We've heard it." And you've started already, Chris. Say we haven't even started the season yet, and it's already started.
My argument is that yes, you've had a good window, but if Liverpool get Isak, they've had a better one, and they're already champions. They were already well ahead of you last season.
No, what happens is what I said to you with Arne Slot. Then the expectation levels go up. And there's one little caveat that you haven't mentioned. Mo Salah's stats last year were unbelievable.
Yeah.
He got Liverpool out a lot of trouble in a lot of games last year. Well, Liverpool weren't playing particularly well. He wasn't playing particularly well. And all of a sudden, he'll turn up with a bit of brilliance. I'll be amazed if he can reach those levels that he did last season because he got Liverpool out of trouble with a lot of games. Paul Merson describes him as the best, worst player that he's seen. And it's a compliment because he could be ineffective for 20, 25 minutes.
Haaland's very much the same, isn't
Yeah,
he?
exactly. And then all of a sudden he'll do something and pull something out of nowhere. So I don't think he's going to get the stats this season that he got last season.
There you go. That's Perry Grove's views on the title race. Do keep your texts coming, 81089. We're going to talk about Liverpool, or more specifically about Alexander Isak now. We reported yesterday on talkSPORT that Alexander Isak is training currently over in Spain with his old club, Real Sociedad. Pretty clear that he wants to force through that move to Liverpool. So too Johan Wissa, who was back at training with Brentford yesterday, but only to reiterate that he wouldn't be training with his teammates, that he wants to leave the club. Simon Jordan gave his opinion on how a player should respectively work their exit.
There is a right way to leave and there is the wrong way to leave, and I don't think there's ever a justification for downing tools. A player is entitled to suggest to the management that he doesn't particularly see his future there. He signed a contract with them, but he would like a change of direction. He's also entitled to receive an answer which he has to adhere to, which is you either get on with it or, okay, we'll work with you to find a solution because it actually isn't working for us either. And so that's an appropriate way to do it. Now, depends how sensible and grown up the agents in the middle of it and how divisive they want to be, because let's be clear, the real money for agents is in the move.
Moves, yeah.
And they'll say, oh, no, it's not. We like to retain relationships. But you listen to a lot of old fanny that Kia Direction comes out about how we fix things as much as we break them. No, you don't. You break them. And then you break them again. And so with that in mind, I think there was a way to operate. But because players are now almost autonomous in their financial position, they're islands in their own right. They are in a different stratosphere in terms of economics. So clubs can control them the way they once did.
There you go. That was Simon Jordan speaking on this programme yesterday about Alexander Isak and Johan Wissa and Douglas Luiz, who was gone AWOL at Juventus to try and get a move back to the Premier League. Perry, as a former player, do you agree with what Isak is doing, and obviously saying that he couldn't travel to Singapore for Newcastle's pre-season tour for injury, but then he's perfectly fine to get on a flight to Spain and go and train at Real Sociedad? I can't quite get my head around that one. And Johan Wissa reporting for training, but then refusing to train.
I think that you have to conduct yourself always in a very professional manner. And as I agree with Simon, when you leave, there's the right way to leave. And I wouldn't want players and fans thinking that I was what the New Zealand All Blacks call it, a something head. Do you know what I mean? Where your attitude stinks the place out. If I was Isak, I would be at Newcastle. I can't believe that he's actually he's at Real Sociedad, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's not a thigh injury. Let's just chuck that out there, haven't they? But you've got £150 million asset, and you're letting him train and get treatment at Real Sociedad. If you had a $300,000 Lamborghini, you wouldn't be sending it round to Arnie's Autos, would you, on Several's Industrial Estate to get it fixed? You'd be going to a bona fide Lamborghini showroom. So,
Would they not have been better than Newcastle, just to come out when he wasn't on the plane for Singapore and say the reason that Alexander Isak is not here is because he's asked to leave the club? Because that then came out 24 hours later. Craig Hope it was at the Daily Mail who first reported it. Would they not have been better to take control of the narrative and say, we're not happy with this player, he's our star striker, he doesn't want to come on the tour, he wants to leave the football club?
Yeah, but the thing is, by letting him go home or sending him home, Eddie Howe said, didn't he, that he's got a minor injury and he's okay. Everybody else knew that there was something not quite right. Whether you're in the know, you've got your sources. Even I looked at that and thought, no, there's something bigger. And it made the story bigger by letting him go home rather than just keeping him with Newcastle and then flying back.
They could have made him get on the plane, couldn't they?
Yes, exactly. And what happened is his people will be telling him to stay away, but he's got to have his own personal morals and principles and say, no, I'll be at Newcastle. I'll make it perfectly clear to Eddie Howe and the owners that I want to leave. But I agree with that. There's still a right way to do it, because, Newcastle fans, if he went to Liverpool and he goes for 150 million quid, on the football side of it, they would understand it, because obviously, because of the PSR rules of Newcastle, they've got no chance of actually winning the Premier League, because they can't go and buy the players they want to play, because they don't get in the money in from revenue. Newcastle fans now, his legacy will be tainted, because Newcastle fans understandably will be disgusted by Isak's behaviour and the way he's conducting himself. Let's be honest, he's going to go, but you make sure you go in the right way. Same with Vissa. You go in, you train with your teammates, you make it sure, because the transfers are going to happen anyway, because the players now, as some say, had that much power because of the Bosman ruling, and now because they're so rich, they can actually virtually go on strike and know they're going to force their move. But it leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth when you hear that players are behaving like that, because you should conduct yourself in a professional manner, and they're not. There
are so many different strands to this, but actually what you said there was that he's almost making his position untenable. I know that's what Gabby Agbonlahor said on Drive earlier this week, and there was a banner allegedly painted by fans outside the training ground put up this morning. Isak is a rat. And with his actions, I guess maybe he might see it as means to an end, but he's actually making it easier for Newcastle to cash in, isn't he? Because if he does stay, you wonder what sort of reception he's going to get, not just from fans, but from teammates as well. If you're out there in Singapore, are you going to be peeved that Alexander Isak has basically refused to travel?
No, I think it's a strange world with the professional footballers that he'll have mates, obviously, in that Newcastle team, and they'll be thinking that they understand it, because I think the modern day player thinks differently to what players from my era did, because they have so much power. But the only thing it does is it sets a bit of a precedent, because then also if they see Isak that's forced his move, all of a sudden you've got Guimaraes who might think, actually, I want to get away from Newcastle, because, I want to have a realistic chance of winning the big trophies and playing in the Champions League. So it's all about power, and his agents will be telling him what to do, but the agents work for the player. So Isak should be telling his agents, no, this is where I'm going to conduct myself. But what happened, Crookie? He's going to go, but even if he didn't go and he got back and Newcastle fans weren't happy and they booed him, if he plays for Newcastle and he scores 4 goals in his first 4 games, then it's all put sort of to one side. But his legacy, which I think is a shame, and Newcastle fans can tell me different, is completely tainted by the way that he's behaved. You think he's scored the winning goal, they win their first major trophy for 70 years. He's an idol at Newcastle because of obviously the way he's performed in games. He's one of those centre forwards that isn't lazy, tracks back, he closes people down. But I think his behaviour is leaving a lot to be desired, and Vissa's as well.
There you go. Perry says Alexander Isak is tainting his legacy at Newcastle. Newcastle fans, do you agree with that? Should they now cash in on their star striker? How worried are you 2 weeks out from the start of the Premier League season that your best player wants to leave and you're struggling to sign replacements? Not the only club in that boat, by the way. 81089 on the text 03717 223344. I do love a deluded football fan. Ian has texted in. He says Alexander Isak has never once said he wants to leave the club. You're making stuff up to suit the narrative. He said he wants to explore his options. Read the room, fella. This is talkSPORT.
$10K for Coldplay.
Well, you've only got a few days left to enter our huge prize draw to win 10 grand and a VIP night out at Coldplay at Wembley Stadium. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 tickets in a private box for you and your mates on August the 22nd with full hospitality, and we're chucking in that 10 grand spending money completely tax-free, but it all ends on Monday. So here's how to enter. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland, for a chance to win. Text the word WIN, WIN, to 88838 by the 4th of August at 11 p.m, and you'll be in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can post your name and number to Coldplay Competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP. That has to arrive by 5 o'clock on August the 7th. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. For full terms and conditions, go to talksport.com. You're listening to Alex Crook and Perry Groves on this Friday morning. Perry has got a lot of people very animated already with his claim that Arsenal will win the league this season, that maybe Florian Wirtz might not have quite the impact that Liverpool expect him to in the Premier League. We've also been talking about Alexander Isak this morning. Timothy has got in touch on WhatsApp, 81089. He should be showing the club that have given him a platform to showcase his talent. I'd never heard of him before Newcastle. These players have short memories. There is a point in that, isn't there? And Johan Wissa as well, given his chance in the Premier League by Brentford. How fine is the line between wanting to further your career, and I would argue that Wissa wanted to go to Newcastle, Isak wanted to go to Liverpool, both are making a step up, but actually showing respect to the club and the supporters who've given you the opportunity in the first place?
100%. Yeah, I do. I agree. Because, as I say, you don't want your reputation and your image tainted, but, say, the modern-day player, because of their financial power, their attitude is completely different. And if you're Alexander Isak, he'll probably be thinking, if I get my move, and I'll probably only go back to Newcastle when I play against them, and he knows he's going to get, obviously, a hostile reception. But
it's the second game of the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Newcastle, Liverpool.
I know. But again, that won't bother him, because he'll just think, as I say, he's played at Newcastle, he's won a trophy there, scored bundles of goals. In his head, it will be like, I'm justified because I've done my job. Where I think it is about showing respect to the club, obviously, that you've played for, and the fans as well, because they've backed him unequivocally. Because there was little periods of time where his form weren't great for Newcastle.
Well, the start of last season, when by all accounts he was sulking about the fact that they promised him a contract, and then when Paul Mitchell came in as sporting director, they took away the offer. He didn't start the season in brilliant form. But just to sort of play devil's advocate and not make this an Isak baiting session, if Newcastle genuinely believe that he's one of the best strikers in the world, and I think they do, that he's one of the best players in the Premier League, should he not be paid accordingly? Yeah,
but that's when a new sporting director comes in. He's obviously been promised a new contract. I think he was on £120,000 a week. Was it Amanda Staveley when she was there, promised him quite rightly a new contract? Because, again, players talk. He'd have known that other players at his level, and he is world-class, would have been on 200, 250. So Paul Mitchell coming in and flexing his muscle and saying, that's all right, he got four years left? Then that then puts the players back up, and you can understand why Isak and his people got a bit of the ump.
So do you actually give him credit then for managing to sort of regain his composure after that snub, for want of a better word, to go on and do what you said he did? He scored the goal at Wembley that helped them end their long trophy drought. He scored the goals to get them into the Champions League, and he waited until after the season had finished and then said, you know what, guys, you haven't given me a new contract. There's interest from the champions. I'd like to look at this.
Yeah, but liking to look at it is different than forcing a move by refusing to train and saying that you're injured and then like being at Real Sociedad. Let's be fair, Crookie, he had to pull his socks up and get his act together because he was playing to get away. So football is very selfish. He did his job for Newcastle, scored bundles of goals, but he knew full well that if he wanted to get that move, then he had to prove himself again and score goals. So footballers are selfish, where sometimes you're just playing for yourself, but then obviously Newcastle reap the benefits because he's scoring goals and getting his team winning games and winning their first major trophy. So I think you can understand getting the ump by not getting your contract you was promised.
Because he deserves Mo Salah money, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Erling Haaland money.
But absolutely. But if Newcastle would have given him the 200,000 at that particular time, then they might have kept him for another season. Obviously, winning that trophy, then he might have thought, right, I'll give Newcastle another season. I'll see where we are. Then I'll want to agitate for a move, because they're never going to ask for a transfer. Because if the players ask for a transfer, then if they've got a 4-year contract and they've got a sign-on fee every year, they lose their sign-on fee.
Yeah.
So they're never going to put a transfer request in. So
Would you have more respect for him if he did do that?
Yes, because it just leaves, when you're looking at it from the outside, it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth because you know that they're not conducting themselves professionally.
Why has he gone to Spain? Why is he not using the Newcastle training ground? Because he's not training with Real Sociedad. They're away on pre-season, but he's using their facilities at his old club, who, by the way, have got a decent sell-on clause if he does make this British record move. He's training with his own fitness guys. Is that sticking two fingers up to Newcastle?
Absolutely, because if you're Newcastle, you should be saying to him, we want you at our training ground under the eyes of our physios, because he's a £150 million asset. Yeah. So as I said before, I don't get... And it might be that he's saying, no, I'm staying here. And what Newcastle will say is, you'll be fined 2 weeks' wages every time that he's staying away, because that's what they should be doing. They should be fining him because he should be at Newcastle's training ground because they're his employers.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's unprecedented for a player to snub his own club's training facilities.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a new one.
And it's not as if the training facilities aren't going to be state-of-the-art and elite facilities. Yeah. So that's where he should be.
He's not training down the local park, is he? That's for sure. 81089 Newcastle fans. Has he gone too far, Alexander Isak? Has he, as Perry has suggested, tarnished his legacy? Love to hear from you. 03717 223344 is the number. Let's talk Lucas Paqueta, shall we? Good news for him. Finally arrived this week after he was cleared of spot-fixing charges by an independent commission. Perry, almost 2 years after the FA launched an investigation, more than a year after he was charged with these alleged betting breaches. Why has it taken so long, and have the FA and this independent commission taken into account enough Lucas Paqueta's mental health?
No, it's taken far too long, because I think it was August 2003, wasn't it, where they looked into it and there was the unusual betting patterns. So it took them a year to charge him. Then it goes to an independent panel. They find it not proven. So we have to think about the human side of it and the effect it had on Paqueta mentally, because you've seen him play, Crookie, over that 2 years. West Ham's seen him play more than I have. I've seen him play, I think, 3 or 4 times at the London Stadium, and you could tell that he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. You could tell that he wasn't the same player, that it looked like he was going to go to Man City, get a big move there, because he is a game changer and he's got natural talent. So you can tell that all these off-field problems was really affecting him. It was obviously affecting, it has a ripple effect as well. It affects the family. He's come out and said that he's grateful for the 100% backing that he's got from West Ham, and the hierarchy there. Karen Brady have said, they backed him to the hilt. Obviously, Graham Potter has backed him as well. And even Graham Potter alluded to the fact that you'll see a different Paqueta now as a player.
Because the weight's been lifted.
Completely. He scored a goal, didn't he? I know it was a tap-in against Bournemouth. And even Graham Potter said he could tell that that's going to be a relief from him. And if you're advising someone, I know obviously it's been found not proven, then there's rumours that he might put a lawsuit against the FA, you know, and go for compensation.
Well, he was going to go to Manchester City. When this all emerged, he'd agreed personal terms. They were going to make a bid. So West Ham would have made a huge amount of money, more than they would make if they sell him this summer. He'd have doubled his wages, presumably. They've probably got a case, haven't they? Not just Paqueta, but the club as well.
I wouldn't be going, if I was Paqueta on a personal level, I wouldn't be going anywhere near it, because
you just want to move on and draw a line.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to, you know, go and sue the FA or, you know, try and get compensation, all you do then is you keep that case rumbling on and on and on. Yeah. And if you do, then you're going to have to answer more questions to get your compensation. So the FA had to look into it. And then when they saw these unusual betting patterns, they had to make a charge against Paqueta. And they've sent it to an independent panel. But it just took 2 years is far too long. That's 2 years of his career that he's never going to get back. And 2 years of a career that he hasn't played to his levels. Now, again, if you was advising him, you're saying, don't go anywhere near it with a barge pole. Just put it to one side. These players are wealthy enough, Crooked. He doesn't need the money, let's be honest, right? So it'd be his people or his lawyers will get money out of it. He should be saying, no, I want to move on. Just close that door. And again, you'd be saying, you owe West Ham this season, because West Ham have backed you fully. Just settle yourself down, get yourself back to the player that you know you can be, and have a brilliant season this season, and then you might get your move at the end of the season.
Well, we shall see what develops. I get the impression that West Ham, I think if a big money offer came in, they may be willing to cash in, but Lucas Paqueta free now to resume his career, which of course is great news for him. You are listening to Crook and Groves on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. A reminder, we're streaming live on YouTube and on your smart TV. For all the info on how to watch the show, just head to talksport.com/watch. And in the second hour of the programme, we are going to be talking the Lions.
England's already depleted bowling stocks have taken another hit. Chris Woakes will play no further part in the deciding fifth test against India. That's after injuring his shoulder whilst fielding. Our cricket editor is John Norman.
From a pure game perspective, suddenly England have only got three seamers. And I mean, Jacob Bethel actually nearly picked up a wicket, right? But 3 seamers now, and they need to take 14 wickets. And, of course, Jacob Bethel.
Meanwhile, people at the Oval today are being encouraged to wear a headband in memory of Graham Thorpe's trademark look during his England career.
It's going to be a special day for English fans, a special day for his family to be able to see how much he meant to English cricket.
Ben Stokes, of course, speaking there. Well, Thorpe tragically took his own life last year, and today would have been his 56th birthday. Elsewhere today, talkSPORT understands Arsenal won't be triggering Eberechi Eze's £68 million release clause, which expires late tonight. But we're told the Gunners are planning to make a bid during this window. Former Palace man Darren Ambrose says losing Eze would be another kick in the teeth during a tough summer at Selhurst Park.
17 fit first-team players, or maybe not even that. You've got the future of Mark Gahey as well, and who knows what effect that would have. Mateta, I know he's shown interest. I think it's Atalanta showing interest in him. Adam Wharton will attract interest. Yeah. Be a huge loss.
Well, another one of Ambrose's former clubs, Newcastle, are still hopeful of signing Benjamin Sesko, but we understand the Leipzig man favours a move to Man United. And talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs says the two clubs have contrasting tactics in their efforts to sign the striker.
Newcastle have gone to Leipzig and essentially said, if your asking price is over 80 million euros, we're prepared to pay it. Manchester United, on the other hand, are trying to get buy-in from the player in the hope that when they go formally to Leipzig, the price will drop because it's clear the player wants Manchester United.
And Lewis Rees-Zammit has called time on his NFL dream and is returning to rugby. He's looking for a new club ahead of next season.
These lads have dreamed of being a British and Irish Lion all their lives. Dramatic finish like that to win the series is what dreams are made of.
1974, isn't it, since the Lions team's gone to Series 1 unbeaten.
The man that's led the Lions to this first series win in South Africa since 1896, Willie John McBride.
Every player in 74, nobody was going to be second best to anybody. It was as simple as that. We were going to be number one.
When we met, Big Faz made the call. He wants us to go out here and win everything.
They're a little bit more desperate, which we need to work on leading into next week.
Hugh Jones up and over the line, scores the try!
It's a big honour, boys. Take it with two hands, like Faz said.
What else could it mean to be a Lion? Prepared to win by skill, but be ready to win by will.
Yes, the British and Irish Lions finished their first series win in 12 years thanks to an incredible 29-26 victory over the Wallabies, with this weekend's third and final test in Sydney being an opportunity for them to create history and become the first Lions team to clean sweep a series in almost 100 years. You can hear that blockbuster unfold live and exclusive right here on talkSPORT this Saturday. Our coverage starts at 10 a.m. Shabana Hearn will be your host with former Lions Alex Cuthbert and Ben Kay on commentary duty alongside Andrew McKenna, and the Wallabies' all-time record try scorer David Campese will also join the show. talkSPORT is, of course, your home of Lions rugby, and you can hear whether the Lions become the first side to sweep a series since 1927, when Perry Groves was just a young boy, as they take on the Wallabies in the third and final test in Sydney. That's from 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Delighted to say David Campese joins us now. David, first and foremost, how desperate do you think the Wallabies will be to avoid the whitewash?
Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, look, it's been very frustrating. I think last week
You know, I mean, it was a hard understanding that you win the game with a minute or two to go and you kick the ball away and the opposition scores. So it is frustrating. They're going to learn a lot of younger players in the team. Yeah, mate, I just hope it's a great game. It's been very wet here at the moment. It's rained basically every day in Sydney. So it'll probably obviously help the European side because of you guys are used to it. We're not really used to playing the wet. I just hope it's a good game. I just hope there's not going to be any controversy like last week and the referee gets out there and just allows the game to flow. Obviously, we've got a few changes in the Wallabies, a few injuries. And, you know, I just hope that it's actually the teams realise, you know, I mean, you guys want a clean sweep and we want to win a game. So I think it's going to be great if we can actually try and get a victory that gives us a bit more confidence going into the Bledisloe Cup and playing against the world champion South Africa in a couple of weeks' time.
David, you mentioned changes there. Carlo Tizzano's been left out. He's taken a lot of stick, obviously, because I actually thought he looked like he made the most of the clear out from Jack Morgan. It looked like he dived, basically. So, but he's been left out. Do you think that's the right decision?
Yeah, look, again, we don't know what the coaches look at. I mean, Smith's been, I don't understand what he's been doing. He's got Nick Whiting there, hasn't played a test all year. And, you know, he plays better when he played with Ben Donaldson, who's the number 10, but he can't even get off the bench. So, again, mate, I don't know what the coach, we don't even hear why he's picking players, why they've been selected. And, you know, you've got Hooper in there, who's a very good player, different player. But again, you know, we lost the momentum when the two big guys went off, Skelton and went off last week. You know, these guys are professional. They should be playing 80 minutes, not 20 or 30 or 40. So that doesn't really help. And obviously the pressure coming off the bench these days is vital, you know. Look, I just hope it's going to be great. Tizzano was a good player. He was actually playing really good rugby. And, you know, at that break, what I just don't understand, what else were you supposed to do? How are you supposed to clean the guy out? You know, I mean, there's a lot of controversy. I think there's some of the Australian people who should have been cited by World Rugby bring the game into disrepute because you can't whinge like that. We were up 23-5. So you can't blame anyone except themselves.
How good is this Lions team, do you think? Because a clean sweep comes along not even once in a lifetime, but once in a century. Do they go down as one of the best of all time, or has it just been a good time to face the Wallabies, or maybe a combination of the two?
Yeah, look, it's difficult to say. I mean, if you win, I mean, it's the records itself, isn't it? I mean, I remember like 41 years ago, we won the Grand Slam. We beat England 9, Scotland, Wales. It was a bloody good team. You know, and that's why you become someone in history. You make it. It's very difficult to compare, mate. You know, you can't go back in history and say, oh, this is a better side than, you know, some of the ex-Lions players, you know, had some great players. 89 tour, you know, I mean, they beat us 2-1. That was a pretty good team, some really good players. So you just got to go with the momentum. And if the Lions win, look, it's great for them. It's not good for us, but hopefully it'll give us a bit of a wake-up, realise we're not where we really should be in World Rugby. And we've got to really start to put our game together if we're going to be a contender for the World Cup in 27. But it was interesting facts that a friend of mine who wrote my book, James Curran, he said it's interesting because 1989 we lost the Lions. In 91 we turned around and we won the World Cup. I think it was the 2003, 2001 Lions came out and we lost to the Lions. And we lost the World Cup in 2023. And I think it was the same in 2011 or 15. So it's amazing. 2015, the Lions came out 2013. And then 2015, we lost the World Cup. So who knows what's going to happen from here on.
So, David, on that bigger picture, my boy lives in Sydney and he said that obviously Aussie rules and rugby league in Australia are massive. How do you turn it around? I know, like, most sport is cyclical. I actually fell in love with Buddy Franklin when I was over there. He was one of the best sportsmen that I've seen play for Sydney Swans. But how do you turn it around to get Aussie rugby union back to where you want it to be?
Well, the thing is, we've always had that problem. Even when the amateur, we had that problem. The only way to do it is you've got to entertain. You've got to get a coach that's going to entertain the people. I played league from 8 to 16, so there's always been league. There's always been that. Aussie Rules got more money because they have a final. They get 100,000 people. They make like 60-something million bucks a game. So they've got the money. But you can't go anywhere. You can't play for your country. You can't go to the Commonwealth Games. You can't go to Olympic Games. But we don't advertise that. And the problem is that if you don't entertain people, people will watch something else. That's been our problem for years. We've had coaches who are not Australian, who don't understand our culture and don't understand how way we play. And we've got to compete. We have to compete by playing a style of rugby that all the kids will go, I want to play that. That looks fantastic. With that comes winning. And when you win, everyone wants to be a winner, mate. So, and that's what fortunate that I came through the system. I used to win. And that's why we won all the, not only myself, but every other player. But we had a different style of play. And we played an exciting style of rugby, which everyone wanted to come and watch and play. And that's how you've got to do it.
So basically, David, what you're saying is about identity. You've got to get your identity back.
Yeah. Well, definitely. Identity is very important. And you talk about Aussie Rules. I'm a Collingwood supporter since 8 years old. So those teams come through history, and that's why they're successful. The Broncos went through a season in rugby league. That's why they were successful. That's because the players they've got, the way they want to play, and they add something different. And the Wallabies can do that, but we're not going to do it if we've got a foreign coach, unfortunately. And, I still can't believe we've got Nick White playing. He's a good player. He hasn't played a test match all year. So he just throws him back in because he's playing his last test match. I mean, we got to win. We're there. We're just like we're keeping everyone happy. You don't do that. You pick your best team and you go out there, and the players have got to realise the reason they play for the Wallabies is not because of them. It's because of history. Why we won the World Cup in 91. Why did we win in 99, the first country in the world to win World Cup? The Grand Slam 84, the Bledisloes. That's who we are, but we seem to have lost our way. And that's through Rugby Australia's fault because there's no reunions. No one knows who we are, which is really sad. And that's why rugby is not really where it should be.
David, thanks very much for joining us. And,
thanks, David.
Very strong views there on exactly what's gone wrong.
I hope you do well on Sunday. You probably need it, I reckon.
And a reminder, you can listen to that third and final Lions test live here on talkSPORT, 10 o'clock tomorrow. Thanks to David Campese. Very strong opinions there on what's gone wrong with Australian rugby.
Do you know what's amazing as well with the Australian rugby is it's so similar to football, isn't it? When you go into football clubs, even like England football team where Thomas Tuchel comes in, and there's some people saying, well, he doesn't get like the culture and, the drive of like English football. And it's exactly the same as what he's saying there in Australian rugby.
Yeah.
They have the same problem. My boy said it's always the third.
Your boy lives over there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he lives in Sydney, and he said it's always the third most popular sport. But as David said there, you start winning, and all of a sudden you get more traction and more young players getting. You've got to get the young players into it rather than going to Aussie Rules and Rugby League where the money is.
It is day 2 of the 5th test between England and India, and there has been an early wicket. Sam Millard.
Yeah, good start for England. India 218 for 7. It's Karen Nair gone for 57. Josh Tongue has the wicket and his third of the innings. It's a full ball. They came back into the right-hander. Nair looking to work the ball down the ground, but missed the ball by some distance. Hit on the pads. Absolutely plumb LBW. So he has to go for 57. Josh Tongue has 3 for 57 from 15 overs. There's been a lot of bad balls in those 15 overs, but he's been able to produce a couple of really good wicket-taking dismissals as well in those 15 overs. So Nair goes for 57. The new batsman of the crease is Akashdeep, yet to get off the mark. Washington Sundar, who throughout this series has provided plenty of resilience and runs for India, he's got 24 runs to his name. India 218 for 7.
And back for regular updates from Sam throughout the morning. You are listening to Crook and Groves right here on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. Next up, we're going to be talking about the latest crisis at Sheffield Wednesday. listening to Crook and Groves on talkSPORT on this Friday morning, the day of the start of the EFL season. Of course, live League One commentary tonight as Luton take on Wimbledon over on talkSPORT 2. League One and League Two getting underway this weekend. We'll be talking to a very concerned Sheffield Wednesday fan very shortly. The Championship campaign gets underway next week. First, though, let's get straight back to the cricket and another wicket for Sam Ellard.
Yeah, brilliant start for England. They get both of the India set batsmen that resumed this morning in the first 20 minutes. First, it was Nair for 57, Tung LBW. Now it's Washington Sundar for 26. Gus Atkinson has his third short ball. Washington Sundar took it on and picked out the fielder, Jamie Overton, at deep backward square leg. So Washington Sundar goes for 26. Mohammad Siraj joins Akash Deep at the crease, and both batsmen yet to get off the mark. India 223.
So a dream start for England in the cricket on day 5, but a nightmare for Sheffield Wednesday after the wages were paid late for the 4th month out of 5. The players have decided to call off this weekend's friendly against Burnley in protest at the club's owners. We're told the EFL are, quote, extremely concerned. There's even a suggestion that their game against Leicester, live on talkSPORT 2 next weekend, may be under threat. This is 24 hours after Henrik Pedersen was confirmed as Wednesday's new manager. Let's bring in James Mappin of the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. James, this all makes very grim listening for Sheffield Wednesday supporters. Can you see any light at the end of the tunnel?
It doesn't feel like it. I mean, you just had that cricket update there. I think it could be a cricket score when we play Leicester, in all honesty, in next week. It's just, I'm so angry, Alex, like just the whole situation that one man has done all of this. He's just, there's people out there that are almost reduced to tears just watching the club just slowly die in front of their eyes. I know there's other clubs in similar, if not worse, situations. I know Morecambe are going through a similar thing. They're probably even further down the road than what we are at the moment. But people probably look at this thinking maybe that's a bit dramatic. But until you're in it, and we've been in it for a long, long time now, and it's rapidly accelerated over these past couple of weeks to the point where it's all consuming. It's tiring. It's every single day there's something else that's coming out from the club. You've mentioned there the wages not being paid, staff not getting paid. I mean, that's one of the worst things. Not only that, the North Stand, the stand that I sit in, is not going to be open for, I don't know how long that's going to be. Certainly not for the first game of the season, the first home game. There's just one thing after another, and something needs to happen and something needs to stop. And Chansiri, I hate saying his name, he needs to leave. Someone else needs to come in, because I really dread to think what's going to happen.
And Perry, I know you want to come in here, but just what James was saying there about the fact the North Stand is unlikely to be open for the start of the season because it hasn't got the relative safety certificate. This is Hillsborough, and you're talking about a ground being unsafe.
Exactly. With Chansiri, James, why isn't, when from the outside, you do think obviously the Sheffield Wednesday fans ain't having him. He's sort of trying to suck the soul and the life out of your football club. Why won't he sell?
That's $1 million question. I've absolutely no idea why he doesn't. Nobody likes him. He's losing money hand over fist. He's not welcome at Sheffield Wednesday at all. I dread to think what would happen if he does come in, inside the ground. I'm sure there'd be mass protest, even if he's there or not. I don't know what he's trying to gain out of this. There doesn't seem to be any sort of motive. I don't know what he's trying to do. There's apparently been interested parties that have actually come out and wanted to take the club off his hands. Like, why does he not just let the club go? I can't really answer the question. I wish I could, and I'm sure the only person that could answer it is him, but he's not speaking. The only time he speaks is if he feels threatened. But he's not spoken once about all this whole situation. Didn't even tell the players. I think he had Ahmed Al Pakshau come in, and which is his advisor, tell the players that they're not going to get paid, and sat down in front of them. That didn't go down pretty well, as you can probably imagine. I don't know why he's still here. I really don't. And he just needs to go sooner rather than later. He should have gone many, many months ago. He shouldn't have got to this stage.
James, you mentioned Morecambe there, obviously the dire situation that they're in at the moment as well. Do you think the EFL can do more to protect football clubs? I've said for a long time that I think that owners should have to put a deposit down with the EFL. Like when you buy a house. If you put a deposit down, you put a big deposit down. If you don't pay your mortgage, then basically you lose your deposit. I think that would safeguard clubs like yourself, because at least you know that then there'd be a pot of money that can be used to pay the wages and keep the stadiums up to scratch.
Yeah, well, 100%. I think that the rules, the EFL rules, need to be sorted out. I mean, the problem is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's all the owners that kind of have to agree to all these rules. So they're not going to agree to something that's kind of going to incriminate them or make their life much more difficult. So that's one of the problems that needs to be sorted out. I think, first of all, the fit and proper test, the point where you don't pay your players, surely that should be alarm bells ringing where you're not fit and proper. That is one. You shouldn't be allowed to do that for. I mean, I know this certain circumstances could mean it might be a bit of a blip. We said there, 4 out of the last 5 months, the players haven't been paid on time. And not only that, the staff haven't been paid. Like I said, people that aren't on a massive wage, they've got livelihoods. I know the players have got that as well, but that surely should be, once that happens, once or twice, or even once, that you should be going down the route of you are not fit and proper to run a football club. You shouldn't be allowed to do that.
And do you know what agitates me? We're told that the EFL are extremely concerned, but they're faceless in these situations. They should be coming out and publicly condemning the way that Sheffield Wednesday has been run. They should be taking much firmer action against Chansiri for the reasons that you've said. There's no point in having a fit and proper persons test if that person is only deemed fit and proper at the time of purchase, because obviously a lot can change along the way. Are you frustrated that you've not had more backing from the EFL?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we have the Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust have been fantastic in all of this. They have had meetings with the EFL. They had a meeting fairly recently, and apparently they think the financial situation has actually improved since last time. So I've no idea how they've come to that sort of agreement that's happened, because it certainly hasn't improved. It's got worse. Players are leaving. We've got only 15 professional footballers at the club. Apparently, Max Lowe's another one who's handed his notice in. We just heard from Jamal Lowe. He hasn't got a clue what's happening at the football club. Barry Bannon, a club legend, he could be leaving as well, without any sort of notice. He's not got a contract as it stands. There's a real problem. And with the EFL, they're only bothered about the club surviving, which I kind of get to a certain extent. But, you shouldn't. There should be things in place, and they should be able to do things to actually prevent clubs like Sheffield Wednesday going down this sort of route. It shouldn't be the fact that, because it's the owner that's doing it. The owner is taking the football club down at the moment. I dread to think what this season is going to be like. We're odds-on favourites to get relegated, which probably quite a short price to be fair. But it's going to be horrible this season. I really not looking forward to this season whatsoever.
The thing is, though, James, I know obviously you're odds on to relegated, but the most important thing is that your club still exists. And when you're going to, I think it is Leicester, your first game of the season, it's looking like that's going to be virtually like an under-23 team, because you're going to have to make sure that fixture goes ahead.
Yeah, well, I hope the players. There's been rumours that the players are going to strike. I hope they do that, because us as fans have been trying everything that we can do. Some say perhaps not doing enough, which is probably a fair comment. But I think the fact that now the players are starting to take action. That we are probably the club, but without the players, there's no football. So I think something's got to happen, and I really do hope that happens. Certainly for the short term, to make this chairman sit up and think and do something. Just walk away, leave the football club, sell it for £1, do whatever you want. I just don't want him to be here.
Yeah, and I think not just Sheffield Wednesday fans, but football fans in general would share that sentiment. James, thanks very much for joining us. Very worrying times at Hillsborough at this moment in time. Let's get back to the cricket. Sam Ellard, not 1, but 2 more wickets.
Absolutely remarkable opening half an hour here at the Oval. India resumed at 11 o'clock on 204 for 6. 28 minutes later, they've been bowled out for 224. 4 wickets this morning for just 20 runs. I told you about the first 2, Naya and Washington Sundar going. The 9th wicket was Mohammad Siraj for a duck. A full ball from Gus Atkinson. Siraj playing all around it, trapped on the crease, no foot movement, bowled, and then Gus Atkinson in the same over gets Krishna for a duck. A ball that moved away from the right-hander, took the outside edge, caught behind with Jamie Smith, his Surrey teammate. So Gus Atkinson, on his return to the Test team, ends with figures of 5 for 33. What a half an hour for England this morning, and of course without Chris Wokes, who injured himself yesterday and won't play a part in this test match. A 5-wicket haul for Gus Atkinson. India bowled out in the morning session on day 2 for 224.
Bennu.
I mean, that is incredible, isn't it? What a half an hour.
Pope's got him on the ropes.
Absolutely.
Did you see it yesterday? It was like eyes wide shut. There was either brilliant balls or balls that are going for. I think one of the overs there was 11 wides, like a record. It was like there was nothing. Normally, the seam bowlers, quick bowlers, put it on the length. They were spraying it all over the place or taking a wicket. So it was entertaining.
Well, it's certainly been an entertaining first half an hour. Back to Sam between now and 1 o'clock, and of course throughout the day, right here on talkSPORT. When we come back next, we're going to be talking Wayne Rooney after an NFL legend questioned his attitude.
England's already depleted bowling stocks have taken another hit. Chris Woakes will play no further part in the deciding 5th test against India. That's after injuring his shoulder whilst fielding. Our cricket editor is John Norman.
3 seamers now, and they need to take 14 wickets. And, of course, Jacob Bethel.
Meanwhile, people at the Oval today are being encouraged to wear a headband in memory of Graham Thorpe's trademark look during his England career.
It's going to be a special day for English fans, a special day for his family to be able to see how much he meant to English cricket.
Ben Stokes, of course, speaking there. Well, Thorpe tragically took his own life last year, and today would have been his 56th birthday. Elsewhere today, talkSPORT understands Arsenal won't be triggering Eberechi Eze's £68 million release clause, which expires late tonight. But we're told the Gunners are planning to make a bid during this window. Former Palace man Darren Ambrose says losing Eze would be another kick in the teeth during a tough summer at Selhurst Park.
The future of Mark Gahey as well, and who knows what effect that would have. Mateta, I know he's shown interest. I think it's Atalanta showing interest in him. Adam Wharton will attract interest. Yeah. Be a huge loss.
And Lewis Rees-Zammit has called time on his NFL dream and is returning to rugby. He's looking for a new club ahead of next season.
You're listening to Crook and Groves on talkSPORT with Selco's Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade goes. We'll be talking Tom Brady and his controversial comments about Wayne Rooney's tenure at Birmingham very shortly. But first of all, ahead of another big sporting weekend, it's time for this.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And delighted to welcome in Dan Towse from BetMGM. Dan, not seen you for a while. How are you?
The reason you've not seen me for a while, Crook, is because you're always on holiday. It's like working with Judith Chalmers.
Well, I'm back now. You'll be pleased that I'm back for the duration. But have you had a good summer?
Yeah, good so far, mate. Yeah, I don't go away for the family holiday till a little bit later this month, so looking forward to that. But yeah, no, so far so good.
It's all right, Dan. You'll bump into Crookie.
Yeah,
he'll be off the Maldives, obviously, with all the riches that BetMGM have.
I wish.
Where should we start, Dan? What's taking your fancy this lunchtime?
Oh, let's start at the EFL, I think. I know you've just had a long discussion with the Sheffield Wednesday fan, etc. But it's Luton that gets us kicked off tonight against Wimbledon. Luton have been relegated 2 consecutive seasons, but they're outright favourites at 3-1 to win League One. They're just in front of Huddersfield and Cardiff, who play tomorrow at 12:30, or an 8-1 shout. But like Cardiff, Luton will be looking to bounce straight back to the Championship. They finished the season pretty well, winning 3 of the last 4, I think they did. And during pre-season, I had a quick look at their results. I don't think they've let in a goal yet. Wimbledon promoted through the playoffs back in May. They made a few signings in pre-season, including Danilo Orsi, who you may remember scored 19 goals when he was at Crawley a couple of seasons back, and he helped them get promoted through the playoffs. So he could be a good sign if he finds his form again. But Luton are odds on tonight. We've boosted them to evens for a maximum stake up to £20, and be interesting to see if they hit the ground running.
What about in League Two? Is it just MK Dons and then whoever's going to bring up the rear?
I fancy Chesterfield.
Do you? Yeah. League Two. Let me just get League Two odds. MK Dons are 3-1 outright favourites. Chesterfield around a 7-1 mark, and then you look at Bristol Rovers at 14s, Gillingham at 14s, or you could look at the Class of 92, Salford City at 14-1 as well.
Well, you've thrown ahead beautifully there, because we're going to have Carl Robinson, Salford manager, on the programme.
We don't just throw the show together.
Later this afternoon. Let's divert our attention to the British and Irish Lions' third test, shall we? Not for 100 years of the Lions done the whitewash. I would imagine they're heavy favourites to set a bit of history tomorrow.
Yeah, they are. Given it's a dead rubber, I say that in inverted commas, you thought that Andy Farrell might opt to switch up a little bit and give some of the players who maybe have not appeared so much in the test so far a chance to perform on the big stage. But he's only made 2 changes. So on the face of it, winning the series isn't enough for him. He wants to leave with the whitewash at 3-0. When we were together, Crookie, at Ascot before the Argentina pre-tour game, which was at the back end of June, we all sat there and were fairly confident that the Lions would win the series, and they were odds on to do so. 3-0 at the time was just slightly bigger than evens, but the Wallabies, despite missing a couple of players tomorrow, will have some confidence after last week's performance, obviously losing at the death, as we all know. Aussies are 49-20, but the Lions are still heavy favourites at around the 1-3 mark, and as you said, would be a first whitewash win since 1927. But the next tour in 2029, Crookie, if we're still talking about it, then it'll present a very different challenge when they head to New Zealand, which I think we've only ever won once when heading down there to play the Kiwis.
There you go, good bit of statistical information. What about Glorious Goodwood then? It's been a mixed week for me. The first 2 days were an absolute disaster. Yesterday, I took the bookies to the cleaners, and I think I found a winner in the second race, because Cosmic Year was pretty much odds on this morning. I backed King of Cities for Ryan Moore, who's having a great week, and they're now joint 2-1 favourites for that second race.
Yeah, well, funny enough, because I was just about to mention that race. So obviously, been down there. It was lovely weather down there yesterday, Crookie. I don't just stay out of the biblical weather, but it's looking a little bit kinder today. It kicks off at 1:20, but as you said, the second race, the 1:55, Harry Charlton trained Cosmic Years around the 6-5 mark to get punters off to a good start, albeit at short odds. But keep an eye on number 5, Seagulls 11, owned by a few of the Brighton Hove Albion players. He finished a decent second at Newmarket last time out, and if he comes on from that, he could run a big race. I think he's around the 3-1 mark, but big race of the days of the King George Qatar States at 3:05. Tom Marquand is on the favourite Big Mojo at 3-1. He won at Glorious Goodwood last year, and as we know with Kirat the other day, Crookie, that you would have seen it in person. We know how important course form is at Glorious Goodwood. He finished second in the July Cup at Newmarket last month, and he comes here with a big chance. But for me, 12 runners is a bit of an each-way play, and I think JM Jungle has a decent each-way shout. one over course and distance and on soft ground, which we know the going is currently. So around the 12-1 mark, he could be a decent each-way play.
Yeah, got a nice draw coming out of stall 1 as well. Well, I should be there this afternoon, Dan. I will give you a going report when I get there, but I think it's going to be very soggy. Dan Taus, thanks very much for joining us. Those were all the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Now, of course, the EFL season kicks off this weekend. We've got live games in League 1 and League 2 over on talkSPORT 2, starting tonight with Luton against Wimbledon. The Championship season gets underway this time next week. Birmingham City now a Championship club again. It's been an interesting couple of years for them, hasn't it? Wayne Rooney was their manager, and in a new Amazon Prime documentary series due to air on Friday, 7-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady, of course, a minority owner at Birmingham, has had one or two scathing things to say about Wayne Rooney.
Well, at different times, you always want to give people opportunities to succeed, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Wayne and what he accomplished. He's one of the greatest players that's ever been on a pitch. And at the same time, I have very high expectations for what leadership looks like. And I really felt like in the time that I had that, we have to give everything we can to the players in terms of our time and energy and our commitment to seeing them succeed. Mm-hmm. And we found that in Chris in our second season, who's done an incredible job as manager. He's been a great leader for the organization, and I'm very excited to see how he continues to build on what he's already accomplished last season going into the new year, because the reality is this year is very different. And 2 years ago was very different from last year. This year is going to be very different from last year. And the work to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish is all about what you're doing today, not about what you did 2 years ago or 5 years ago. It's about what you do today and moving forward every single day.
There you go. That was Tom Brady in conversation with our own Troy Deeney. Wayne Rooney, of course, former Birmingham City manager. Didn't go well for him there. What did you make of those comments?
He's not as critical to Troy as what he was in the documentary that's coming out, because I think he said that it was the coach's work ethic that worried him. And also he thought that the players were lazy and entitled. Now, whether you're a player, whether a manager, the worst criticism you can have levelled at you is that you're not putting enough effort in. If you put the effort in, and nobody could ever accuse that of Wayne Rooney when he was a player. Crook, like everybody knows, seen his career coming from like Everton when he was 6 the way through. He gave everything. He gave his heart and soul when he was a player, and all the natural talent that you had. You put those two ingredients together, and then you get somebody who is one of England's all-time greatest players. Then to be accused that you're not putting that effort in with, or whether it's on the training ground or with your players, because Tom Brady said there about giving the players everything that you have every day. So whether Wayne was taking the training sessions and he thought that players would naturally have the desire that he had as a player and took it for granted, it might have been that sort of case. But to have that levelled against you, that's not going to do Wayne Rooney's job prospects any good going forward.
Of course, he has got a new job, Wayne Rooney, signing up for the pundit's role on Match of the Day. Do you think that's it in terms of management now for Wayne Rooney?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at his CV, like Derby County was there, Crookie. That was difficult, wasn't it? Because they had their off-field problems, financial problems. He did okay-ish. Then Birmingham got him relegated. He went in there and it was a bit of an ego, took over from John. They were 6 when he took over, by the way. And when he left, obviously they got relegated. I think he tried, it's a vanity project where, getting teams to spread and play expansive football, which the players wasn't able to carry out. He goes to Plymouth. He leaves them when they're 20th. They get relegated. DC United, he didn't exactly rip it up. So if you look at his body of work, it doesn't warrant him getting a decent job even in the EFL, but because he's Wayne Rooney, there's every chance. You know what owners are like. If new owners come in and they want a big name signing, his name might get him a job, but I don't think his body of work as a manager warrants him getting a job.
There you go. Let us know what you think about that. 0371722 3344 81089 on the text. Is that it in terms of management for Wayne Rooney? We're just going to get used to seeing him now as a pundit. Still lots to come between now and 1 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to be asking which Premier League manager is under most pressure in terms of the sack heading into the start of the new season. And Salford boss Carl Robinson gives us an exclusive interview ahead of the big EFL kickoff tonight, live on talkSPORT 2. Just coming up for 10 to 12 on this Friday morning. Alex Crook and Perry Groves with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. We've been talking about the start of the EFL season live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. Luton, back-to-back relegations. They take on Wimbledon, maybe a dark horse in League One under Johnny Jackson. We're going around the grounds right here on talkSPORT tomorrow. Lots of 3 o'clock kickoffs in League One and League Two, and some big pre-season friendlies involving Premier League teams as well, and some Premier League managers maybe already fearing for their job a couple of weeks out from the start of the season itself. I would put Graham Potter in that category. Didn't really go according to plan after he came in midway through last season to replace Julian Lopetegui. Obviously, a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure on Keith Andrews, succeeding a legend in Thomas Frank at Brentford. He's already lost his best player. Brian Mbeumo may well lose Johan Wissa as well. Then you've got Scott Parker, who I think still needs to prove that he can be a success in the Premier League. Daniel Farke, he's been given the backing of the Leeds board. Can he succeed where he failed at Norwich and keep them in the Premier League? And what about Vitor Pereira at Wolves, who's lost some key players and has been bemoaning their lack of transfer activity? Perry, of those managers that I've mentioned, which of them is under most pressure, do you think, before a ball is kicked?
You would say that I think Scott Parker's got enough in the bank, for what he's getting Burnley promoted. Obviously lost James Trafford. But I think out of the 3 promoted teams, the style of play, I think Burnley have got more chance of survival. If you looked, they had more clean sheets than my local dry cleaners, didn't they, last season? I think, was it James Trafford, 29?
Yeah, it was a record, wasn't it?
Yeah, and only conceded 16 goals. So the way that his team set, Kyle Walker's gone now, so obviously got a little bit of experience there as well. So I just think the way that his team's set up, I don't see Scott Parker being under any pressure at all.
You think they got a chance, Burnley?
I do.
I think they'll finish bottom.
No, I think because of the way that he's set up, because the teams that struggle, especially when you looked at Ipswich and Southampton last year, and we always spoke, didn't we, spoke about Russell Martin at Southampton, where the vanity project, where, again, you get the teams, centre-halves to play expansive football, and teams know how you're going to play and they press you, and he didn't change the way he played. Kieran McKenna, I thought, got away with a little bit at Ipswich last season. People forget he spent 140 million quid.
And they were well beaten most weeks.
Exactly, and when going to Portman Road, they were a nice team to play against. Burnley aren't going to be nice to play against. Keith Andrews, he's got such a difficult job, Crookie, because if you look at how well run Brentford are, and the 4 years that they've been in the Premier League under Thomas Frank, they were a well-established Premier League team. A team like Brentford, you can't afford to be losing 2 or 3 of your best players. If you lose one, and then that money is then reinvested in the team, that's fine. So they lost him and Mbeumo. Obviously, Norgard's gone. Their manager's gone. It looks like Vissa's going to go. So I think that Brentford are going to be in a relegation battle.
I was going to ask you about the Vissa situation, because it's slightly odd, isn't it? We spoke about it earlier in the programme. He reports for training, but only really to tell the manager that he's not going to train, that he wants to leave. He feels like certain promises have been broken. I wonder if he'd be quite as vociferous if Thomas Frank was still in charge. Is this a player trying to take advantage of the fact they've hired a rookie manager?
No, I think he probably would have been the same. I think maybe Thomas Frank might have had a quiet word in his shell, and just said to him, keep the noise down, because if you're going to go in the right way. But I think Vissa would have been exactly the same.
Does it not undermine Keith Andrews, though, right from day one?
No, because he can't do anything. What can he do? He can't do anything about it. As again, with like Eddie Howe's situation with Isak, it's out of his hands. So I think players will be looking at Keith Andrews and see how he's going to handle the situation. As I said, he would probably like to come down quite hard on Vissa, on the discipline-wise, but it's not going to make no difference anyway, because Vissa knows he is their star player, and he's 29, and he knows this is probably his last chance of a big move. So I don't think you can apportion any sort of blame at Keith Andrews being a rookie manager. But on the playing side, the money that they've got, obviously, for Norgard and for Mbeumo, again, needs to be invested in Brentford, because let's be honest, their recruitment over the last 4 years has been second to none.
Yeah.
So he's going to need a lot of help on recruitment, and he's going to need a good start, because you think you're losing 39. If Vissa goes, you're losing 39 goals. What them and Mbeumo and Vissa got between them last season. That's a big ask, to try and make up. So even now, I think that Brentford are going to be in a relegation.
Are they the most vulnerable? Because you look at the bottom of the table last year. We're not expecting Tottenham and Manchester United to be down there again, unless you've got a different opinion on that. Obviously, West Ham were a lot closer to relegation than they thought they would be. Everton were down there. But the teams who might get sucked into it, who finished higher up the food chain, you think Brentford are the most vulnerable?
Yeah, I think they are. And I'm just looking at Wolves as well. So the transfer window hasn't, finished. It's September the 1st, I think, isn't it? Where it shuts.
So there's another month to go.
Yeah, but then you get into desperation times, don't you? When you get into 2 weeks before the transfer close. You look at Wolves losing Cunha, losing Ait-Nouri. Semedo's gone as well. He was a big part, when they're playing the
probably
five
their
at the
three
back.
best players, although their lad Gomez in midfield might have something to say about that.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously they've brought in Lopez from Celta for 19.5 million. Obviously Strand Larsen from Celta Vigo, because I think there's a real good centre forward in Strand Larsen. I think they've got something to sort of develop. But he did really well, Vitor Pereira, when he first went in, because he just settled everything down a little bit. And you can remember at the time, Cunha was suspended, wasn't he, for 5 games? I think Wolves won 4 out of those 5. So he got them out of that relegation trouble by implementing his philosophy very quickly, make them a little bit more attack-minded, and just releasing players forward. But I think they could be in a relegation battle as well if they don't, obviously, add to the squad that they've got already.
Stuart has sent us a WhatsApp 81089. Why is no one talking about Bournemouth, about being in a fight? They've lost their entire defence. That's not strictly true. They have lost Milos Kerkez and Dean Howson. Kepa obviously has gone to Arsenal, but they've replaced him with Georgi Petrovic coming in from Chelsea. But the noises in France when it comes to Elias Zabani and PSG do seem to be getting louder. Now, Bournemouth want around 70 million for him. If they lose Zabani as well, have you got any fears for the Cherries?
Yep. Because again, that would be in the same boat as Brentford. Losing, the sort of middle and sort of bottom tier teams in the Premier League can't afford to lose 3 or 4 of your best players.
Yeah.
But if you look at Andoni Iraola, beginning of last season, I think it took him 9 games actually to win a game, didn't it? So
his first season,
yeah, his first season. Sorry. So he's got himself established now as a Premier League manager, and he's still got a little bit of creativity going forward. Obviously, Evan Nilsson. You hope that he's going to get you maybe sort of 15 goals. But again, you'll have to wait until the transfer window's finished to see what players they've got coming in. But you would have a little bit of a fear for Bournemouth.
Yeah, maybe Palace as well, because I know Oliver Glasner has been talking about his frustration at the lack of signings, and I think there's still every chance that Eberechi ends up an Arsenal player. We shall see. And of course, you won't miss any of the big transfer stories right here on talkSPORT. More EFL chat between now and 1 o'clock. Carl Robinson, Salford manager, joins us from their training ground. And we'll also talk Manchester United, because I did have a couple of messages there saying, why is Crookie not speaking about Ruben Amorim being under pressure? We'll address that later. We'll address that later.
England's already depleted bowling stocks have taken another hit. Chris Woakes will play no further part in the deciding fifth test against India. That's after injuring his shoulder whilst fielding. Our cricket editor is John Norman.
From a pure game perspective, suddenly England have only got 3 seamers. And Jacob Bethel actually nearly picked up a wicket, right? But 3 seamers now, and they need to take 14 wickets. And, of course, Jacob Bethel.
Meanwhile, people at the Oval today are being encouraged to wear a headband in memory of Graham Thorpe's trademark look during his England career.
It's going to be a special day for English fans, a special day for his family to be able to see how much he meant to English cricket.
Ben Stokes, of course, speaking there. Well, Thorpe tragically took his own life last year, and today would have been his 56th birthday. Elsewhere today, talkSPORT understands Arsenal won't be triggering Eberechi Eze's £68 million release clause, which expires late tonight. But we're told the Gunners are planning to make a bid during this window. Former Palace man Darren Ambrose says losing Eze would be another kick in the teeth during a tough summer at Selhurst Park.
17 fit first-team players, or maybe not even that. You've got the future of Mark Gahey as well, and who knows what effect that would have. Mateta, I know he's shown interest. I think it's Atalanta showing interest in him. Adam Wharton will attract interest. Yeah. Be a huge loss.
Well, another one of Ambrose's former clubs, Newcastle, are still hopeful of signing Benjamin Sesko, but we understand the Leipzig man favours a move to Man United. And talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs says the two clubs have contrasting tactics in their efforts to sign the striker.
Newcastle have gone to Leipzig and essentially said, if your asking price is over 80 million euros, we're prepared to pay it. Manchester United, on the other hand, are trying to get buy-in from the player in the hope that when they go formally to Leipzig, the price will drop because it's clear the player wants Manchester United.
And Lewis Rees-Zammit has called time on his NFL.
Well, of course, the EFL season kicks off this weekend. talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Very much your home of the EFL once again. I'm delighted to say we can join an EFL manager now. Salford boss Carl Robinson joins us from their training ground. Carl, the day before the season starts, I'd imagine there's a lot of anticipation and excitement. You've been down this road many times. Does it still have the same buzz?
Yeah, it does. Do the favour, mate. I always say you've been down this road many times. It makes me look old or sound old. I'm still only 44, so I have been down this road a lot, but I'm still quite young. There's no feeling like it. I think anybody who's involved in football, I think every single player and every manager today will be excited with the hopes and optimism that they can be successful within the year. I think the Tom Brady was something with you the other day. He was speaking about sort of everyone thinks they can win leagues in 3 or 4 weeks. Everyone's mentality completely shifts and changes, and recruitment starts to ramp up once again. But we feel we've got a lot still to do, but we feel that we're in a really good place.
It's so competitive, isn't it, your division this year, when you look at the amount of money that MK Dons in particular have splashed around?
That's incredible, isn't it? That's incredible.
Cole, it's all about foundations, isn't it, at football clubs and pre-season. As a manager, what do you look for in pre-season? Because I've looked at results. You're unbeaten, scoring goals, but what do you fundamentally want to get for your first game this season, obviously against Crew?
You try and say no injuries. We've had 1 or 2, though, in the last sort of 10 days, which hindered us a little bit. But I think the most important thing is that you get through it. You're looking at starting 10 tomorrow. I think probably 8 of them. I probably completed the most distance, the most amount of minutes, and probably completed the most load on the body. So you know that they're all in a good place to perform. Penny, you've been there for the football or pre-season games you don't really like. I think every professional that you speak to, we're very lucky. We've got obviously Paul and Ryan and Nicky and Gary around the place, and even they'd say with the pre-season games, it's always difficult to judge any player. But you'll soon see tomorrow at 3 o'clock, mate, when that whistle goes, it's a completely different type of game. Everyone's expectations are through the roof. Everyone's energy levels are through the roof. There's an unpredictability to the first day, and you've got to make sure that you can control yourself and your own team. And hopefully within them moments when you get judged in both boxes, it falls in your favour.
Do you know what you said there, Cole? Like first game, league game this season, you're always breathing out your backside after 25 minutes because the pace of the game is completely different. And you said there about the nerves and the expectations. Last season, you just missed out by a point. So what from the playoffs? What do you want to see? What do you think you've got to improve on to get yourselves hopefully automatic?
A better start. We looked at our start. It wasn't great last year. We're going to have to try and reduce the injuries that we had. We need to be better from set pieces, for and against. We've brought in Paul Gerrard in the summer as a goalkeeper coach who's dealing with set plays, something that he loves doing. So we've tried to implement so many different things at the football club over the last few months. And by the way, with the new owners, it'll change even more so over the next 2 months, and certainly over the next year. It'll be a club that you don't recognise because of what we're trying to achieve here. So you say the first game, people keep saying to me, are they fit? You'll know more than anybody. I don't think any footballer's fit until about 6-7 games into the season, until you know you're in a place where you're in that sweet spot. We've got to make sure that we are as fit as we can possibly be. And we've got to make sure that we don't have the same type of start as what we had this time last year.
You talk about the new owners. Obviously, it was a high-profile takeover with David Beckham and Gary Neville buying out the rest of the class of 92. How has that changed things around the club?
The new owners, there's some incredible people in that who are very successful within the business world and want to be equally as successful in the sporting world, but they really want to drive this football club forward and want to be successful. It doesn't matter the size of the club, but I think it's the heartbeat that we all carry here, that we want to be successful and be them the underdogs, that we overachieve. And I think the message that I'm getting from everybody within the building is that over time we will be as competitive as anybody. And I think it's exciting. It's great for Salford as a city in itself that we can try and build a team and a football club. And I'm just doing this interview now, and our new train, where we train is Littleton Road, arguably one of the most famous training grounds anywhere in Europe, with like Eric Cantona when United last won in '99 the treble where they trained. So it's steeped in history where we train, and we still use the owners with Ryan and Paul and Gary and Nicky and David. Their experiences are going to be vital to our recruitment protocols, to how we do things, how they see best practice. And then we've got people who've come in who've seen best practice within the business world and in different sports as well. So I think as a collective, it's a really exciting time, especially over the next 12 to 18 months.
Carl, you mentioned the old Manchester United players there who were obviously brilliant prospects, though younger. You've got one yourself in Marshall Hayes. Just tell us about him.
Yeah, I love him. I absolutely adore him. He's a throwback. You know, he's one of them people, right? I have to put him on a team where he's playing against a young player as well because he hurts people. He tackles the way people used to tackle.
Fearless.
Do you know what he does? It's funny because he tucks his shirt in. He pulls his shorts up by his hips. He's an incredible athlete. He's aggressive, and he really wants to learn. He's the youngest ever professional player to play in the FA Cup. We've got some wonderful, talented young players here. It's part of the class of 92's remit was to make sure that we had young players coming through the system. Will Wright, who's as well documented about the biggest clubs in the Premier League chasing him. You've got Hayes, who's the youngest ever player to play in the FA Cup. We've got Kyron Malcolm. We've got Butty, Ruben Butt, Nicky's lad. We've got a number of young players here that we've got tremendous hopes for. And we know we've got to be careful with their development, and we've got to be careful with the steps that they take, especially over the next 12 months. And I know their flight paths are going to be completely different. I've had some really good young players that I've been able to manage that have gone on to some great things. And one thing that's been a common denominator, they've all wanted to be successful. They've all wanted to work hard. They've all wanted to listen. And they've all loved football. And I think there's complete similarities in some of our top young players we've got here.
Do you know what you said about his shorts, pulling them up to his chest? I had shivers there of Stuart Pearce. So tell Marshall, right, he's got to put Vaseline on his elbows if he wants to channel his inner Stuart Pearce.
If I told Marshall to put Vaseline on his elbows, he would do it within 10 seconds. He came on as sub one day, and it was for the first team. I can't tell you what the player was, but I said, listen, you need to get tight to him, and you have to win your first tackle. He looked at me at 15 and went, no problem, gaffer. And within 30 seconds of being on the pitch, the lad's rolling round, and I'm going, I didn't mean that aggressive. I meant you had to get tight to him. But it's infectious. Hey, do you know what I mean? No people who want to do things that actually fans want to see. They want to run around. They want to win tackles. They want to pass forwards. They want to win all the duels, but they equally want to enjoy working hard. I think that's how we all love them.
There you go, Carl Robinson, Salford manager, speaking ahead of the return of the EFL and talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Once again, you're home of the EFL this season. Perry, I know you keep a keen eye on matters Leagues 1 and 2, which both get underway this weekend. We got Wimbledon and their trip to Luton live on talkSPORT 2 this evening. How important is it, if you want to make a promotion push, as Carl was suggesting there, that Salford do, to get off to a positive start?
Yeah, very much so. As you said there, that they struggled, didn't they, beginning the season. It's interesting to see that they've got a new set-piece coach, which obviously everybody knows how important they are if you want to be successful. And he just said, it amazed me as well, that these days we know that the Premier League players, they're all monitored, don't they? They have like all of their gadgets on them where, you know, how far they've run, the explosive runs they've made, the distance they've covered. That even goes now down into League 2. So it just shows you the sort of depth that they go into. And he said there, just to make sure that at least 9 out of the 11 players that start, they'll be the ones that have the best running stats and are the fittest. So you're not playing catch-up. You've got to make sure that you start off really well. And there was only 1 point off of their playoff positions last season.
They had a really good first half of the season, and they fell away a bit after Christmas, Salford.
Yeah. So, and he ran a bit more pressure. Obviously, you mentioned with the new owners going in. And he's got obviously some young talented players coming through as well. So he knows that worst ways out, Salford City will have to be in the playoff places.
We had a Barnet fan on the Transfer Insiders last night with myself and Hugh Wisencroft. You love a quirky stat. Okay? You try and bring one out during the commentary on a Saturday. They're going to be playing Tranmere Rovers this season. Of course, Barnet having won promotion back to the EFL after 7 years in non-league. That's never been a league fixture, Barnet against Tranmere. That is history to be made.
Yeah, superb. At least they're not playing on the slopey pitch at Barnet anymore, where it used to be Underhill, where Arsenal reserves used to play there, actually.
They did?
Yeah.
You played there a few times?
Yeah, when I was captain, if you won the toss, always played downhill, because I only played a half, so always make sure you run in downhill.
Did you play more for Arsenal reserves than you did for the first team?
No. Crookie, I can stay at home and get stick, do you know what I mean?
You don't need to come into work.
Don't need to come into work, exactly.
But Barnet might be a dark horse in that league, you know, because the gap between the National League and the League 2, I think, is probably as narrow as it's ever been. And it happens quite often, doesn't it, that a team come up from the National League and do really well in League 2?
Yeah, you can consolidate. As you said there, in the National League, there's probably now, 16 to 17 full-time teams in there. Team just up the road from where I am, Braintree, have done really well in like the National League, and they're one of the few sort of part-time players.
Yeah.
Steve Pitt, who's in charge there.
Alan Devonshire was there for a number of years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there are teams that can hold their own, but obviously you need to be full-time. This in League 2, I've got a little sneaking suspicion for Swindon.
I thought that
because
they were brilliant at the end of last season.
Well, Ian Holloway got himself sorted out, didn't he? And again, imposed his personality and his philosophy. They were 22nd when he took over. So this is his first full season, his first pre-season, which you need to get under your belt, and first say that he's out on the signings. And I think he had a few rows, didn't he, with the Swindon fans right at the start, because it didn't start particularly well. But yeah, I've got a sneaking suspicion for Swindon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that either, to be honest. And former Premier League club, you forget Swindon. It's a football town, a bit of a sleeping giant, I think, in the lower leagues.
I can remember Swindon when Glenn Hoddle was playing.
Yeah,
and he played as a sweeper in the days where you could still have the back pass, but he used to play and get the ball on the edge of 6-yard, which wasn't happening in English football, especially in the lower league. That wasn't happening. Do you know what I mean? And I remember watching him play as a sweeper and thinking, wow, I know I played against him. But then when you watch him play, you think you're on a completely different level.
He was the manager, wasn't he, when they got into the Premier League?
Yeah, player manager.
Then he left, went to Chelsea, and John Gorman unfortunately couldn't keep them up. Luton Wimbledon live on talkSPORT 2 this evening. That's the big League 1 kick-off tomorrow, 12:30. We've got Cardiff against Peterborough, and then 3 o'clock Bradford against Wickham, both live on talkSPORT 2. And on Sunday, a bit of a local derby, Stockport against Bolton from League 1. That also is live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. Kick-off at midday. Now, Perry, speaking of people who get abused at home, let's get back to the cricket. Sam Millard, how's it going?
What's that supposed to mean, Crookie?
That's a bit harsh, Sam.
Speaking of people that get, do you mean by my family or do you mean by the listeners? What's that all about? I'm having a lovely day here so
just
far.
Just on X, Sam. That's all it is. Just on X. That's what
doesn't everybody get abused on X? I mean, who isn't getting abused on X? So far, so good for England. There's been a brilliant day. India resuming with the bat on 204 for 6. Bowled out for 224. Gus Atkinson back in the team with a fifer. And then with the bat, England have been fantastic. Into the 7th over, already 45 runs on the board. It's an England team that are looking to be incredibly aggressive. We've seen Ben Duckett play a reverse pull shot off the quick Akash deep for 6. We've seen a couple of vintage Zach Crawley drive back down the ground off Mohammad Siraj, and Ben Duckett a short while ago charging Akash deep down the ground and cutting him through the offside for 4. So Zach Crawley has 21 runs to his name. Ben Duckett has 23 runs to his name, as Ben Duckett once again just steps across his off stump and helps the ball over the keeper's head for 6. These England openers are in the mood. Duckett moves for 29. England putting the pressure on India here. 51 without loss now, trailing by 173 runs.
Cheers, Sam. We love you, really. Big story coming out of the US this morning. Louis Rees-Zammit returning from NFL to play rugby union again. We're going to be getting reaction to that in the next part of the programme, right here on talkSPORT.
10k for Coldplay.
Yes, you've only got a few days left now to enter our huge prize draw to win 10 grand and a VIP night out at Coldplay at Wembley Stadium. That's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 tickets in a private box, no less, for you and your mates on August the 22nd with full hospitality, and we're chucking in that 10 grand spending money completely tax-free. It all ends on Monday, so here's how to enter. 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word WIN, WIN, to 8888. Sorry, to 8338 even, by August the 4th at 11 o'clock PM, and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or post your name and number to Coldplay Competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP. That has to arrive by 5 PM on August the 7th. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. For full terms and conditions, visit talksport.com. Nothing like a nice short read on this Friday morning. Matt in Hove has text 81089. He says, I play for Barnet Reserves versus Perry at Underhill. He was mustard. I thought I was. That's the difference. I think that's a compliment for you, Perry, there.
Cheers, Matt.
Brilliant.
Thanks for being my agent, dear.
Brilliant for Arsenal Reserves.
Won the football combination. Make sure it was a good role model for the younger players coming through. The thing that you hate when you don't want to play for reserves, right? But normally in those days you had to play midweek to keep your fitness up. But when I was a young player, I hated it when the first team players come in and they didn't try and they laughed it off, because you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to make a career for yourself. And if you've got 3 or 4 first team players in it not running around and trying, then that obviously impacts you. So I just made sure that my attitude was good and I ran around for the half that I had to play downhill.
There you go. That's the key to it all.
Downhill.
Downhill.
Well, McCrew was
downhill ever since.
From Southampton, definitely downhill.
Let's talk about this big story from the US this lunchtime. Louis Rees-Zammit returning from the NFL to play rugby union. That decision comes 18 months after the 24-year-old initially quit rugby to pursue a career playing American football. He's had spells with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars, but didn't play a snap in a regular season game. The former Gloucester wing, capped 32 times by Wales and a tourist with the British and Irish Lions, has not yet confirmed which club he will be joining. For the latest on this, let's bring in senior US reporter Brian T. Smith. Brian, how big a surprise is this news?
Hey, Alex, thanks for having me on. It's good to chat with all you guys. I think it's a surprise to some people here. I've been saying this the entire time at talkSPORT, and we have all this covered at talksport.com. It never made sense to me. And I was around him last year, interviewed him. We've done a lot of stories. Seems like a nice guy. It always seemed like rugby was the right fit for him. It never really made sense. And honestly, it felt like a little bit more of a media stunt he wanted to talk about it. Did he actually want to do it? Christian Wade was able to kind of get it done and had a longer career. And I just never felt like LRZ was fully committed to this. For him to end this early, he never played. He never got in a real game. Changing positions, running back, wide receiver, all those things, it made it much more complicated than it needed to be. But ultimately, he had to be dedicated. So to end it and quit this quickly, to me, means that he never was fully into it in the first place. And obviously, the NFL didn't have a spot for him. So the best thing for him to do was just to walk away after 18 months. He didn't really do anything, and he never touched the field in the NFL. It was a waste overall. He spent 18 months. He could have been playing rugby and continuing to make his name on the rugby field. He didn't do anything in the NFL.
Brian, you mentioned there like positional play with a wide receiver or a running back. When he's gone over to the NFL, I think he was probably just about 22. I've been watching the Netflix series Quarterback and Wide Receiver, which is unreal. Do you think it's because he wasn't used to the information that you have to take in? Because obviously all the young kids, they know about all the information on the technical side of it, because when you see the quarterbacks especially and the wide receivers and the running back, they have to take it's like a dossier every game of different set plays. That's very difficult to get your brain around that when you haven't been used to that from probably like 6 or 7.
I think you just nailed it 100%, and that's why I always doubted it. It would have been a great story. It would have been super cool. It seemed more like it was out of fantasy land and somebody who watched it on TV, who wanted to play. I get it, but like, I'm okay at playing guitar. I'm a pretty good songwriter, I think. I don't sit around and say, hey, I'm going to join Oasis and be at Wembley Stadium, where I'm going to be part of Coldplay, right? Like, that's just not how it works in the world. Kids in America, at 5 years old, they start dreaming of playing in the NFL. And then you spend 8 and 10 and 12, and you are obsessed with it, and you're doing everything you can to learn the game. And you mentioned the playbook. I feel like you completely underestimated that. I mean, the playbooks in the NFL are this thick. And look at someone like Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was an incredible college quarterback, one of the best college quarterbacks of all time. He didn't study enough in the NFL, and he was out in a couple years. He was a total bust. So I think that's part of it, that these guys in high school, in college, university, when they're on the practice squad, the information you have to process, you have to have incredible hands, incredible athletic talent, and an incredible mind just to get on the field. So it was way too much of a learning curve. And credit to him. I think LRZ realized that, and he's much better off just calling it what it is and going back and playing rugby.
Do you think he'll be, when he comes back to rugby, he'll want to be known as LRZ? That's superb. Different branding. That's fantastic.
I think he needs a little bit of a reset. Look, he seems like a nice guy. I have nothing against him. He's much better looking than me. He does well in the social media world, but it just seemed like it was more about talking about it than actually doing it. And I think we were reminded that you don't grow up in America and say you're going to make the Premier League and you're able to make the Premier League. It doesn't happen that way. You do grow up in the UK and say you're going to make the NFL. And if you're going to do it, you need to spend 3 or 4 or 5 years trying to do it. It's just not that easy.
Brian, thanks very much for joining us. Brian T. Smith, their senior US reporter, reacting to the news that Louis Rees-Zammit is returning from the NFL to resume his career in rugby union. Big breaking news, Perry Groves, and we've been speaking all morning about Alexander Isak and how this saga could play out. Our colleague David Ornstein at The Athletic reporting that Liverpool's first official offer for Alexander Isak has been rejected by Newcastle. That's been stood up by my sources at both clubs. We don't know the exact figure, but I think safe to surmise it would be a British record bid that Newcastle have rejected. My understanding is that personal terms in terms of Alexander Isak and Liverpool won't be an issue. Is this the first power play? I have to admit, I didn't think Liverpool would necessarily bid until they got to a number that they thought Newcastle would accept. But I guess the flip side of that is you never accept the first offer.
Exactly. You always go as low as you possibly think you can get it, and Newcastle went as high. You mentioned about Isak there. This would have been, these talks with his people, with Liverpool, would have been going on for probably 3 or 4 weeks, without any shadow of a doubt. So his personal terms ain't going to be a problem because they know for where he's on 120 grand a week. So they're going to say to him, we'll give you 240. They'll double his money.
I think it'll be over 300, to be honest.
Well, we're there. So, but he's got to pay tax on that, though. Crookie, bless him. Do you know what I mean? So, well, small.
He's already put his house in Newcastle up for rent. That was doing the rounds earlier this week.
That'll be a lot of offers, wasn't it? Was it on Rightmove? Is it? Yeah, good one. Put on Zoopla. That'll go down.
Do you expect this move to happen eventually?
Yeah, 100%. Let's be honest. For Newcastle's point of view, they have to be seen to be getting at least 140 million quid for him, so that then Eddie Howe can then go and obviously reinvest that in the team. So it's going to be a dance. This will probably go on for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And the one who's going to lose out more than anybody until it actually happens will be Isak, because he'll still be over in Real Sociedad. So this story isn't going to go away. And Eddie Howe is going to have to deal with the thing that he's going to hate about losing his best player, right? Is put Newcastle far weaker than that last season. But he's going to have to deal with this now every single press conference. And if he was advising Eddie Howe, obviously he's far more intelligent than me, but he was saying all he's got to say is, this is out of my hands. Because you know what it's like with the press people, Crookie. They'll be told not to ask, wouldn't they? When he's doing his press conferences, the PR and the press people at Newcastle will say...
But it's the only story in town.
Exactly. So they'll say, we don't want to be talking about Isak, but that is the first question that's going to be asked. And all Eddie Howe's got to say is, it is out of my control. And that's it.
There you go, big breaking news this lunchtime. Liverpool's first offer, a British record offer, we understand, for Alexander Isak has been rejected by Newcastle. More on that as we get it right here on talkSPORT.
England's already depleted bowling stocks have taken another hit. Chris Woakes will play no further part in the deciding fifth test against India. That's after injuring his shoulder whilst fielding. Our cricket editor is John Norman.
3 seamers now, and they need to take 14 wickets. And, of course, Jacob Bethel.
Meanwhile, people at the Oval today are being encouraged to wear a headband in memory of Graham Thorpe's trademark look during his England career.
It's going to be a special day for English fans, a special day for his family to be able to see how much he meant to English cricket.
Ben Stokes, of course, speaking there. Well, Thorpe tragically took his own life last year, and today would have been his 56th birthday. Elsewhere today, talkSPORT understands Arsenal won't be triggering Eberechi Eze's £68 million release clause, which expires late tonight. But we're told the Gunners are planning to make a bid during this window. Former Palace man Darren Ambrose says losing Eze would be another kick in the teeth during a tough summer at Selhurst Park.
The future of Mark Gahey as well, and who knows what effect that would have. Mateta, I know he's shown interest. I think it's Atalanta showing interest in him. Adam Wharton will attract interest.
Yeah.
Be a huge loss.
And Lewis Rees-Zammit has called time on his NFL dream and is returning to rugby. He's looking for a new club ahead of next season.
12:35 on what's turning into a pretty seismic Friday morning in the world of football. talkSPORT understands that Newcastle have rejected Liverpool's first formal bid for Alexander Isak. The offer, we believe, is worth more than £120 million to include add-ons. That would be a British record fee. Isak obviously is pushing for the move to Liverpool, having not reported for Newcastle's pre-season tour of Singapore. He's currently training at former team Real Sociedad's training ground with his own fitness staff. Personal terms won't be an issue. Newcastle ideally want to keep Isak, or at least source a replacement first. Perry Groves, former Arsenal player, is alongside me. You think this only heads one way?
Yep, absolutely. If you're looking at, we don't know the official bid that's gone in, but we're thinking it's around about the 120. Newcastle are going to want probably 150. And then obviously you have these add-on clauses. So what do you think, Crookie? Where do you think it's going to go? Where do you think that Newcastle are going to say, okay, they know it's going to happen, right? There's no going back now because what's happening.
The issue is, and maybe this is where Newcastle should have been more prepared, because my understanding is that Alexander Isak has made it pretty clear for a long time now that unless they pay him $300,000 a week plus, he isn't going to sign a new contract. So there's always a danger, and I reported it in March, that he was Liverpool's dream transfer target, that someone would come in. So should they not have acted more quickly to source a potential replacement? Should they not have got that deal done already?
Well, if you do that, then it makes it harder for you to sell your star player, don't you? Because people know you've already got a replacement in, so then maybe they go a bit lower on the bid, because then Liverpool know that they're desperate for Newcastle to sell him. I just think it's going to get somewhere near. I think you're going to get up to, that would be 130 million. Then you'll add add-ons. Then Newcastle can say, well, it's a 145 million pound deal, with the add-ons. Because as I said before, they said they want 150. In the end, you'll get nearer. You ain't going to get him for 120. You're going to get 135 to maybe 140 with add-ons. But you'd like to think that Newcastle would already have maybe 2 or 3 players that they know that they want to go and get when Isak's sold. But the problem you have, Crookie, the way it works is when teams know that Newcastle have got 135, 140 million quid, then the players they go for, then their price goes up. So it seems like it's all going to be Isak and Wissa, isn't it? And Wissa, people would know as well that if Isak goes, that Newcastle want him. I think they bid 25 million, didn't they? For
I think they indicated they would pay more than 30. But
yeah, but then his price will go up because Brentford know that
it's a domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And centre forwards are now on vogue, aren't they? Whereas before, the out and out centre forward was, everybody thought it was a bit of a dying breed. Now people know the hardest thing to do in football is to score goals, so their stock is getting higher and higher.
Well, we will keep you bang up to date with this developing story. Newcastle rejecting Liverpool's opening offer for Alexander Isak. We understand that to be a British record offer. Let's get to Goodwood then. It's day 4 of Glorious Goodwood 2025. And first question, Rupert, because I was one of those who was scampering for cover as the heavens opened yesterday afternoon. Has the rain relented? Is it dry down on the Sussex Downs?
It's lovely today. Clothes have dried out, particularly Lizzie's coat that took an absolute pounding yesterday. It was like a wet sponge in about 5 minutes at 2 o'clock yesterday. And we were drowned rats, but there was 30 millimetres of rain in 40 minutes.
It was biblical, Perry. We were having a picnic in the members' car park, and I said to my wife, I think we should probably start to go inside, because when this comes, this is coming.
What, you turn into Michael Fish with your weatherman? Is that the cumulonimbus clouds or the stratus just floating across? We got to get out of here.
You didn't need to be a weatherman, but I tell you what, Rupert, I was on the treble yesterday, winner in the first race, Merchant, who I thought had to dig really deep to win that race, and then Whirl, who probably benefited from the flag start, and that Ryan Moore got a 3-length advantage over his rivals from the off.
You smug punter, you, basically. that's nothing worse. But Lizzie alongside me, but basically they did a flag start. It was which some people say, well, why did they do it? You wouldn't want to be a jockey for the lightning around, would you, in the stalls, Lizzie?
No, No, obviously not. They are metal. So no, I think that was the right call. Well, to be fair, has front run on numerous occasions. She was always going to front run, especially in what was a small field. Ryan obviously felt that she would stay through the ground, and she did very well. And there weren't a huge amount of them that really got into the race, but that's the way that she sort of wins her races anyway.
Might that be the tactic for Ryan Moore in the second race today? Because Cosmic Year this morning was sort of a 6-5 shot, drifted out to 2-1 now. I've actually backed King of Cities, thinking that in a 4-runner race, Ryan Moore is going to deploy exactly the same tactics, just try and make all and win another big pot.
Yeah, we'd keep things simple, wouldn't it, with only 4 runners. I think that Cosmic Year is going to be a little bit cleverer than that with Colin Keane on board. Obviously, Cosmic Year is beautifully bred. He's was second in the Irish Guineas, behind Field of Gold, and I suppose my question would be about the ground, really, with Cosmic Year. When he ran at Deauville on soft ground, he sort of looked like he came to win his race, and then the engine fell out. So, you know, he won't want to make it. He'll want to try and hold on as much as he possibly can. But, you know, if Ryan Moore's going to take them along on King of Cities, you know, he won't want to go too fast. We've seen King of Cities when he was in behind Opera Ballo, who's the non-runner. So yeah, I think it could be an interesting and very tactical little race, that Group 3.
So the King George Qatar Stakes feature race today. So Asphora, the favourite. Do you see anything past that?
I'm interested. Henry de Bromhead. Obviously known for his flat jump racing exploit, but he does have a few good flat horses. But this is a 5 furlong race, and I know won last time out, but if he hadn't got sort of trapped in, actually Colin Keane was riding him that day, who's back from his suspension, he could have won, I think, by much further. So I think this one could be overpriced. So I'm thinking of Town and Country at a decent price in that one, but I'm sure Lizzie's got... It's a very competitive race, so but I just think there's some value to be had there.
Yeah, it's definitely the race of the day, really. Asphora finished second in this last year, but she carried a penalty last year, and she doesn't this year. She was beaten only a short head by Big Evs, not to be mistaken for or confused with Big Mojo in the same colours who runs in this race today. Time for Sandals won Royal Ascot. She won the Commonwealth Cup. She was a big price. She's got a progressive profile. She's only 3. She should actually be getting £3 off some of these horses, but she's got a £5 penalty, which I would definitely see as a bit of a negative, but she's certainly improving. Frost at Dawn ran well when he was second, beating Neck at Royal Ascot, and he was ahead of Asphora on that occasion. But Asphora, she's won 10 races over 5 furlongs on all sorts of ground as well, which I think is really important. So it's going to be a really interesting race.
Just quickly, Rupert, I think it's fair to say it's 2-1 to the bookies so far. They cleaned up on days 1 and 2. The punters got a bit of revenge yesterday. Do you see big price winners today, or do you think again the fancied horses will come to the fore?
I just think it's the ground is what riding soft good to soft, but there is a stiff breeze here, so as you know, Crookie, it dries out very quickly here, so we could have much quicker ground than many people would have expected after yesterday's deluge. But we have been seeing, as you know, very big prize winners here this week with that 150-1 shocker on Tuesday. So it's so competitive that it's not surprising to see big priced winners, but there are 1 or 2 that you think are possible hot shots in the field, but so far it's nothing if not unpredictable, this meeting.
No, I think that's a perfect way to describe it. Look forward to joining you guys down there later. 5 commentaries live on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 over on Racing Live and the social, and hopefully Rupert and Lizzie will stay dry. And yesterday I saw them actually. I was in the members box and you could just see their commentary position. They were in the Pacamax. They were getting absolutely drenched. So ever the pros, fair play to them. Let's get back to the cricket, shall we? How's it going, Sam Ellard?
It's just going perfectly, Crookie, for England. I mean, really the perfect morning session. The bowling, oh, and is that a wicket? Yeah. Oh, you come to me just as Ben Duckett goes for 43. He tries one more big expansive shot, this time off Akashdeep, who bizarrely puts his arm round Ben Duckett and almost there gives him a send-off. We've seen Bazball at his absolute best. Into the 13th over, England have 92 runs on the board. Ben Duckett in particular playing all sorts of shots. This time with Akashdeep, he tries to reverse sweep him, and all he can do is help it on to the wicketkeeper Jurel. So India finally have the breakthrough, but it's been 92 runs of pure joy and pure entertainment, and Bazball out its best. But Duckett's got to go for 43. Zach Crawley's still there on 47. He's played a little bit more traditionally than Ben Duckett, standing, delivering, driving through the offside, driving down the ground, but Ben Duckett gets the good ovation as he goes for 43 of just 38 balls. Ollie Pope, the captain for today's game, will now come to the crease, and England are 92 for 1, trailing by just 132 runs.
Thanks very much, Sam. Wicket crazy at the cricket on the final day of the test. When we come back here on talkSPORT this morning, myself and Perry will be going head-to-head and answering who's under more pressure. Is it Perry's beloved Mikel Arteta, or is it Ruben Amorim? You're listening to Crook and Groves on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade goes. A reminder of the big breaking news this lunchtime. Liverpool's first formal bid for Alexander Isak, believed to be a British record offer, has been rejected by Newcastle. This looks like it's going to be one of the sagas of the summer. We'll keep you bang up to date right here on talkSPORT. Perry Groves alongside me is a firm believer that move will eventually happen. What about Arsenal and Manchester United then? We're going to be live from Old Trafford for the first Sunday session of the new Premier League season as those two juggernauts go head-to-head. Arsenal heavy favourites, not just to win that game, but to finish above Manchester United. But it does raise the question, Perry, which of the two managers comes into this season under the most pressure? Mikel Arteta, trying to deliver silverware, trying to win a first Premier League title in more than 2 decades, or Ruben Amorim, trying to repair the damage of what was a disastrous campaign for United last term?
I think that Amorim slightly is under more pressure because last season he had the excuse that it wasn't his players, that the culture that he inherited, was toxic, Crookie, from top to bottom. The soul had been ripped out of the club. But you can't keep making excuses all the time because I don't think he's flexible enough with his tactics formation. I think he's like the modern day Mike Bassett, where he goes, I play 3-4-2-1, that's it. I'm done. That's the system I play. Where do you realistically think that you're going to finish this season?
I think top 6 is attainable.
So basically, Amorim's got to improve to the position where Arsenal were when Mikel Arteta took over. That's how far Manchester United have dropped.
Well, I would argue they've dropped further than Arsenal did. You finished 8th, didn't you? I think.
Yes, what I'm saying is, but you're aspiring to finish in the top 8.
Yeah,
and that's where Arsenal were when Arteta took over.
Yeah.
So that's the demise that your club is facing. And I'm just looking at the signings. Arsenal have had a very good transfer. And if we can get Eze in, that will be the cherry on the ice on the cake, because we struggle when teams sit deep, especially at the Emirates. When these days it's not the low block, you're just defending deep basically. And we struggle because it can be quite formulaic, like painting by numbers, where you need players with that little bit of creativity, where you just play off the cuff. And I think obviously Madueka's been brought in for the left-hand side to get in behind and go 1v1s. If we get Eze, then you would say that it's been a brilliant transfer window, because he does give you that something different, that gives you that little bit of finesse, which I think we're missing.
And how would you, as a neutral, interpret Manchester United's window? Because my take on it is defensively, listen, the goalkeeper's a disaster. I think they will bring in a keeper to at least challenge
Nick Pope?
Anana. I probably would take Nick Pope. I think he's an upgrade.
He's an upgrade.
I'd have taken Aaron Ramsdale on loan, $4 million a year, brilliant character, good shot stopper.
But also the way that you want to play, Crookie, is you need a goalkeeper that's good with his feet. And Nick Pope, that's his problem, that he's not good with the ball at his feet.
Yeah, so
Aaron Ramsdale would be the better fit.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I'm surprised they didn't pull that cord. But I think Lenny Yoro, if he stays fit, can have a good season. Got Lissandro Martinez, who when he is fit, I think is a good player, particularly in the back three. Can he stay fit? I'm not convinced by Matthijs de Ligt. I don't think he's had a brilliant pre-season so far. Harry Maguire was on a bit of a redemption arc. I do think the boy Aidan Heaven they took from Arsenal, I know he's a youngster, but I think he's got great potential. So defensively, Dalot as a wing-back. Dorgu's had a really good pre-season. Maybe once that's under his belt, we're going to see the best of him. Not got any huge concerns there. The big problem was at the top end of the pitch and the lack of goals. In Cunha and Mbeumo, they've signed 2 players there who between them got 35 goals last season. They're trying for Benjamin Šeško. I think if they get him, that's a good window. They've got rid of Marcus Rashford. Garnacho's going to go. Sancho and Anthony will go eventually.
And what about I think the 2 most important positions when he's playing these 3-4-2-1 is the 2 centre midfield players. And if you're playing Mbeumo and you're playing Cunha in the 10, and Mbeumo's not used to playing as a 10 because for Brentford he predominantly played on the right-hand side, where's Fernandes fitting all this? Because there's no way, Crookie, that he can play in that. I know, really, if you're looking from the outside, I would say Ugarte and Mainu are the best 2 to play, because you need legs, you need to be mobile, you need to be physical.
Yeah.
Fernandes isn't doing that.
No.
And also, when you're in a side, I don't know if Cunha's attitude is going to be different off the ball, because when he was at Wolves, he was the playground player that's the best in playground. I'll just be brilliant when I've got the ball, but I won't defend. So he's got to change that, because you can't have any lazy players if you want to get yourself back to where you want to be. So that, I know you said you're happy with the top end, but it's square pegs in round holes at the moment.
Yeah. And you're right about Fernandes, because we saw it in the Europa League final. They played him deeper, and it was a disaster. Does he play Mbeumo as a 9, and maybe Fernandes and Cunha in behind? That's a possibility.
Well, I think he played 3 times last season for Brentford as a 9.
Go on.
But he knows full well that he's not enough, because when you're playing in Amorim's system, you need a number 9 that is going to threaten him behind, which Mbeumo can do, because obviously we know he's quick. But you need someone who's going to hold the ball up to bring those 2 10s into play and to allow your wing backs to push further up the pitch and become basically wingers. And I know you said you're happy. I'm not convinced with like the 3 centre halves, and no team is ever successful with a average goalkeeper. And at best, Onana is average.
Yeah, I agree with that.
At worst, he throws in too many crookies. He's got too many mistakes in him. He makes good goalkeepers make 1 or 2 mistakes per season that cost you goals. Onana is up there in the 6s and 7s. Yeah, and then that uncertainty then transmits itself to the back 5.
I think he's got a concentration issue. I don't think he concentrates properly, Onana, and that's where the mistakes come from. Just very briefly, in one word, where do you think United finish next season?
I think you'll have a brilliant season and finish 9th.
There you go. Do you know what? I might even take 9th. Perry, thanks for your company this morning. Got
Enjoy
off to
Goodwood.
A blinding start with that row about Arsenal and Liverpool. Of course, the big news that Alexander Isak, that bid has gone in and been rejected. More on that throughout the day. Johnny Owen and Sean Dyche are up next with a very special show.